righty, everybody. Welcome on into the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. We are live once again. It is Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. September is coming to an end. Fall is here. Fascism is here. And your friend, soon to be on a terrorist watch list, Mike from PA. I hope you are all doing well. The Hexet meeting with all the flag officers was just so he could call them fat. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the meeting was to create a precedent. I think that meeting was to line up a possible maneuver. Warning, don't play Trump's speech. Trump's speech? You mean Trump? Oh, you mean Trump's UN speech or what other speech? Marine base speech? Oh my fucking god, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This is so embarrassing. What the fuck is this? Hexeth said RDCs and instructors can hit recruits? Okay, how about we watch my president's speech instead? David Jolly is a he sucks. Isn't he a Republican? Why are Florida Democrats addicted to running Republicans? What is wrong with you? You fucking losers. You're bored cucks. How is there nobody in the entire state of Florida with a set of gonads? What happened to Dennis? She's just not live today. It's called TSA Fish. Although perhaps we shouldn't call it TSA Fish. Mike, they don't even have an office.
An appearance.
Sec War Pete Hegseth nukes fat generals and announces new twice yearly PT tests for top brass. It's unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading all around the world. It's a bad look and it's not who we are. You need to meet the height and weight standards. Today, at my direction, every member of the Joint Force at every rank is required to take the PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year, every year of service. What, are they going to get different heights? Like, what's going on here? What are you talking about? All right, let's watch this shit because listen. Militaries require you to be able to perform certain physical tasks. But when you're a 65-year-old man and you have demonstrated 30 years of service to the country, and you're now making plans for logistics in Washington, D.C., I don't think it's a good idea to fire someone because at 65 they can't make the mile-and-a-half run at the same speed as an 18-year-old. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? I think it's great. I don't think they should become obese or anything, but what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are we talking about? I think they were just intimidated by China's military parade, guys. Like, I think they saw China's military parade and they're like, we need to have a good military parade too.
But I look out at this group and I see great Americans. Leaders who have given for every designated combat arms position returns to the highest male standard only. Because this job is life or death. Standards must be met. And not just met, at every level we should seek to exceed the standard, to push the envelope, to compete. It's common sense. And core to who we are and what we do, it should be in our DNA. Today, at my direction, we are also adding a combat field test for combat arms units that must be executable in any environment at any time and with combat equipment. These tests, they'll look familiar. They'll resemble the Army Expert Physical Fitness Assessment or the Marine Corps Combat Fitness Test. I'm also directing that warfighters in combat jobs execute their service fitness test at a gender-neutral, age-normed male standard scored above 70%.
Age normed. Wait a minute. Age normed. That just means that. Wait, so I guess we have different standards based on whether or not there's objective conditions. And then we obviously understand that. So why is it age normed? Why don't we just have one standard? That doesn't make sense. What are supply packs age normed, or do they weigh something? Why are we age norming? Come on, man. That doesn't make sense. That sounds like woke bullshit to me.
It all starts with physical fitness and appearance. If the Secretary of War can do regular, hard PT, so can every member of our joint force. Frankly.
Because you're brainless. You're a brainless goon. You're a fucking loser. I was talking to a relative of mine who was former military, and he was like, this guy's a fucking loser. He could, like, they force you out of the military if you can't make lieutenant colonel. He couldn't make lieutenant colonel. This guy is below average. This guy is like a below average officer. The men who served with him ranked him lowly. They thought he was a dumb fuck and a bad leader. And he's now running the Pentagon because he was on TV telling everyone he doesn't wash his hands. I mean, this is the clip. This is the clip that he's most famous for. Before he became the Secretary of the War, Jesus Christ, was this. Okay, thank you for the fucking meme.
As I told you, my 2019 resolution is to say things on air that I say off air. I don't think I've washed my hands for 10 years.
That's not funny. That's gross. You're disgusting. You're fucking disgusting. You're a foul, filthy weirdo. You're fucking weird. Wait, you're telling me you go to the gym. Let me get this straight. You go to the fucking gym. You put your hands on a bunch of equipment. And then what? You go home and eat a hamburger with your hands? Like, what the fuck are you doing? You take a shit? You don't wash your hands? Like, what are you doing?
Really, I don't really wash my hands ever.
Help me!
No, I inoculate myself. It's just not, germs are not a real thing. I can't see them, therefore they're not real.
So you're becoming immune?
I can't.
It's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT. And as the chairman said. But today, at my direction, every member of the joint force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year. as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year. Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our joint force is required to do PT every duty. Should be
What? That's dumb as fuck. That's not even like physical science. You need days of rest and recuperation so your muscles can repair, like, and grow. What? Every day is just hazing. That's stupid.
Common sense. I mean, most units do that already, but we're codifying it. And we're not talking like hot yoga and stretching. Real hard PT, either as a unit or as an individual. At every level, from the Joint Chiefs to everyone in this room.
Dude, everyone's gonna pistol whip those reports so fucking hard, it's not even funny. They're going to pistol whip those reports. Okay, guys. All right, everybody. This is Space Force Command, satellite image analysts. I have you guys working. We've got an emergency. We need to make sure that we evaluate these accumulations of forces off the Taiwan coast. It looks like they're fueling the missiles. Oh, wait, everybody stop looking at the photos. We have to do our push-ups today. Everybody stop looking at the photos. China's gonna win the war so easily. Oh my God, it's gonna be amazing. Guys, everybody stop looking. We have to do our jumping jacks.
The youngest private leaders set the standard, and so many of you do this already. Active, this also means grooming standard.
Okay, so this, in case you don't know, this is literally just racism. This is a way, because black men, oftentimes there's this like really common skin condition. What is it called? Fuck. Anyway, a lot of black men have this skin condition with their beards where if they shave their beard completely to the skin, it could cause like a really bad, they get, what is it? Full folliculitis. Yeah, folliculitis. Thank you. And so because of the way that black men's hair, is really tightly curled, sometimes like low stubble is what they need in order to avoid folliculitis, causing like really bad skin rashes and shit. And so they created a standard that if you suffer from that condition, you could have short stubble, right? And this is just a way of getting rid of black men and going, oh, it's not racism. It's they didn't stay up to the grooming standard.
Long hair, superficial individual expression.
The long hair shit, the beard stuff is often for, funnily enough, the most forward units because they oftentimes don't have supplies like hot water, and it can often help them blend into local communities and cultures that have longer hair or long beards so that they can perform their, missions better. So this is just like, again, focusing on really superficial parade shit as opposed to what builds the most effective force. And here's how you know it's not effective. Have you ever heard of a Fortune 500 company demanding everyone do PT every day? Even a Fortune 500 company and say like logging or whatever, like, right? You get my meaning? Like, yes, there are some jobs where you have to be highly physically fit, but this kind of shit is just dumb. It's dumb. It's optics. It is aesthetics. It's not about building the most effective military. God, they're so dumb.
Cut our hair, shave our beards, and adhere to standards. It's like the broken windows. It's like when you let the small stuff go, the big stuff eventually.
Which just doesn't work. Small, like the window theory, broken window theory doesn't work. It's stupid. It's been studied and it's debunked.
This is on duty, in the field, and in the rear. If you want a beard, you can join Special Forces.
Wait. That's my point. Wait, so the most squared away guys get beards, but regular troops don't because racism is okay? The thing is, like, no other leftist could listen to this and tell you why it's dumb as fuck. That's what's really sucks about the left of the US. No other leftist actually understands the military. I mean, there are other leftists. I'm just saying on Twitch. On Twitch, we don't have, well, no, I think Marcus knows it. Marcus would be able to explain it. That's not true. Struggle for. So, like, God, he's so fucking stupid. Marcus would know. It's just embarrassing.
Not then shave. We don't have a military full of Nordic pagans, but unfortunately, we have had leaders who either refuse to call BS and enforce standards, or leaders who felt like they were not allowed.
They wore fucking beards, man. The Vikings had beards, dummy.
Are unacceptable. And that's why today, at my direction, the era of unprofessional appearance, no more beardos. the era of rampant and ridiculous shaving profiles. Simply put, if you do not meet the male-level physical standards for combat position, cannot pass a PT test, or don't want to shave and look professional, it's time for a new position. Or, I sincerely appreciate the proactive efforts the secretaries have already taken in some of those areas. Service secretary. And these directives are intended to simply accelerate those. On the topic of standards, allow me a few words to talk about upholding and demanding high standards is not toxic. Enforcing high standards, toxic leadership. Leading warfighters toward the goals of high, gender-neutral, and uncompromising standards in order to forge a cohesive, formidable, and lethal Department of War is not toxic.
Hey, Kamala Harris
It is our
agreeing.
duty, consistent with our Constitution. Real toxic leadership is endangering subordinates with low standards. Real toxic leadership is promoting people based on immutable characteristics or quotas instead of based on merit. Real toxic leadership is promoting destructive ideologies that are an anathema to the Constitution and the laws of nature and nature's God, as Thomas Jefferson in the Declaration. The definition of toxic has been turned upside down, and we're correcting it. That's why today, at my direction, we're undertaking a full review of the department's definitions of so-called toxic leadership, bullying, and hazing to empower.
It's very funny to have the Trump administration talk about the founding fathers, which is one of the nice things about the Trump administration is you don't have to hear the founding father cult every 5 minutes, because obviously the founding fathers would have borrowed a guillotine for this entire administration. They didn't even agree with having a military. They were like, having a standing military is fucking tyrannical. They thought we should just have like men, all the like men ready to muster in case our country gets invaded, and maybe we have like we have a navy that's a standing navy, but we keep the standing army to like nothing because it's a risk it's a tyrannical risk. These motherfuckers are forming military fast reaction forces and militarized checkpoints where we just grab people based on what they look like. Like, the founding fathers would have fucking gone after you guys with torches and pitchforks. Why are you bringing them up? They would have hated your ass. They would have thought of you as a failure. They would have looked at America and they would have been ashamed. They were like, America, stay out of entangling foreign alliances. Avoid the empire. Like, that's one of the things they were concerned about. You are the exact thing the founding fathers were like worried about if you read their shit. They were worried that America would get into entangling alliances abroad, that we become an empire, that we would have a standing army that oppressed liberty, that we would be interfering with people's consciences. You know, the founding fathers were left wing relative to the rest of politics in the world at the time. Now, they were also white supremacist slavers, and all that's true. But if you look at them contextually, they would have hated your fucking ass. You guys are embarrassing.
Our leaders to enforce standards without fear of retribution or second guessing. Do like nasty and hazing. We're talking about words like bullying and hazing and toxic. They've been weaponized and bastardized inside our formations, undercutting commanders and NCOs. Setting, achieving, and maintaining high standards is what you all do. And if that makes me toxic, then so be it. Today at our direction, we're ensuring that every service, every unit, every schoolhouse, and every form of...
This is a guy who watched A Few Good Men and thought the Marine Colonel was the good guy. This is somebody who like somebody who watched Starship Troopers and was like based. Like, this is sub 90 IQ level shit. Sorry for using IQ, but I'm trying to make it very clear. This guy's not very smart. He's like, we need sadistic, evil little tyrants going after guys they don't like.
Of professional military education, conduct an immediate review of their standards. Now, we've done this in many places already, but today it goes across.
Also, it's important to understand how this is the opposite of like a democratic professional military in favor of a fascistic thuggery. That's what they're trying to instill. Fascistic thuggery. So people of conscience, people of fairness, people of rectitude leave the military, and it's the hands of petty little tyrants and weenies.
The entire Department of War. Any place where tried and true physical standards were altered, especially since 2015 when combat arms standards were changed to ensure females could qualify, must be returned to their original standard. Other standards have been manipulated to hit racial quotas as well, which is just as unacceptable. This too must end. Merit, the president talks about it all the time, merit-based. Here are two basic frameworks I urge you to pursue in this process. Standards I call, my staff's heard all about them, the 1990 test and the E6 test. The 1990s test is simple. What were the military standards in 1990? And if they have changed, tell me why. Was it a necessary change based on the evolving landscape of combat? Or was the change due to a softening, weakening, or gender-based pursuit of other priorities? 1990s seems to be as good a place to start as any. And the E6 test, ask yourself, does what you're doing make the leadership, accountability, and lethality efforts of an E6, or frankly an 03, does it make it easier?
Which is the only military he understands, by the way. Because he is a failed 04. So he's talking about 03s because he's like, yeah, you know, I used to lead 03s back when I was a major. Back when I was a major, you know, sub 20-year-olds are majors. You know, sub 28-year-olds. Like, this guy is an absolute joke. He's such a charlatan. This is so embarrassing. Like, god damn. Like, honestly, my reaction to this is like, the United States of America is cooked. It is more cooked than it's ever been cooked.
More complicated. Does the change empower staff sergeants, petty officers, and tech sergeants to get back to basics? The answer should be a resounding yes. The E6 test or 03 test clarifies a lot, and it clarifies quickly.
Aren't you talking
Because
Marines?
war does not care if you're a man or a woman. Neither does the enemy. Nor does the weight of your rucksack, the size of an artillery round, or the body weight of a casualty on the battlefield who must be this, and I want to be very clear about this. This is not about preventing women from very much value the impact of female troops. Our female officers and NCOs are the absolute best. But when it comes to any job that requires physical power to perform in combat, those physical standards must be high and gender neutral. If women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. If that means no women qualify for some combat jobs, so be it. That is not the intent.
So, by the way, that's just, this is just Southern strategy shit. It's just like, we make arbitrary standards because they're arbitrary, right? They are arbitrary. They're not based on something that he can actually articulate other than through platitudinous shit. And then declaring, like, there's also jobs that require different levels of fitness within the unit, right? Like, it is true. And you could have women serve roles where maybe they don't have to carry as much. They don't have to ruck as much. And why is that valuable? Because when you free up, when a woman takes that space and she could perform the role adequately, then you free up a man to take another position. So it actually reduces your combat ability of your nation to do shit like this, which is why he's dumb.
But it could be the result. It will also mean that weak men won't qualify because we're not playing games. This is combat. This is life or death. As we all know, this is you versus an enemy hell-bent on killing you. To be an effective, lethal fighting force, you must trust that the warrior alone...
You know what it is? You know what the enemy is? You're not fighting him with bayonets. They're going to be fighting you with FVP drones, okay? They're going to be fighting you with drones. And you know who makes all the fucking drones in America? This is what an American soldier is going to see on the battlefield against China. Good luck, bitch. Hope you get another pull-up. Hope you did another pull-up, bitch. We'll see if, like, your...
alongside you in battle is capable, truly physically capable of doing what is necessary under fire. You know this is the only standard you would want for your kids and for your grandkids. Apply the War Department Golden Rule, the 1990 test, and the E6 test, and it's really hard to go wrong. We are attacking and ending the walking on eggshells and zero defect command culture. A risk-averse culture means officers execute not to lose instead of to win. A risk-averse culture means NCOs are not empowered to enforce standard. Commanders and NCOs don't take necessary risks or make tough adjustments for fear of rocking the boat or making mistakes. A blemish-free record is what peacetime leaders covet the most, which is the worst of all incentives.
So in other words, he's like, I'm going to change the policy so I would have been promoted because I had a lot of defects on my record, which kept me from being promoted. So I'm going to retroactively make every shitbag alcoholic get promoted. This guy is unbelievable. Like, this is fucking hilarious, dude. Holy shit. Also, and I will say this, you know, Americans are fat, right? You understand that you're just going to be taking units out of readiness, right? You're going to be hanging a bunch of troops are going to fall out. We're going to fall out. I mean, maybe they're counting on the recession causing so many people to take military positions for the necessity of survival that they're going to be able to have their pick of the litter. But you understand this is going to instantly start knocking units out of readiness, right? You understand that there's going to, like, this is the reason why they don't do this is because they don't have the guys.
We as senior leaders need to end the poisonous culture of risk aversion and empower our NCOs at all levels to enforce standards. Truth be told, for the most part, we don't need new standards. We just need to reestablish a culture where enforcing standards is possible. And that's why today at my direction, I'm issuing new policies that will overhaul the IG, EO, and MEO processes. I call it the No More Walking on Eggshells policy. We are liberating commanders and NCOs. We are overhauling an Inspector General process, the IG, that has been weaponized, putting complainers, ideologues, and poor performers in the driver's seat. We're doing the same with the equal opportunity and military equal opportunity policy, the EO and MEO at our department. No more frivolous complaints, no more anonymous complaints, no more repeat complainants, no more smearing reputations, no more endless waiting, no more legal limbo, no more sidetracking careers, no more walking on eggshells. Of course, being a racist has been illegal in our formation since 1948. The same goes for sexual harassment. Both are wrong and illegal. Those kinds of infractions will be ruthless. But telling someone to shave or get a haircut or to get in shape or to fix their uniform or to show up on time or to work hard, that's exactly the kind of discrimination we want. We are not civilians. You are not civilians. You are set apart for a distinct. So we as a department need to stop acting and thinking like civilians and get back to basics and put the power back in the hands of commanders and NCOs. Commanders and NCOs who make life and death decisions. Commanders and NCOs who enforce standards and ensure readiness. Commanders and NCOs who in this War Department have to look in the mirror and have to pass the golden rule test. My kids, your kids, America's sons. So I urge you all here today and those watching, take this guidance and run with it. The core of this speech is the 10 directives we're announcing today. They were written for you, for Army leadership, for Navy leadership, for Marine Corps leadership, for Air Force leadership, Space Force leadership. These directives are designed to take the monkey off your back and put you, the leadership, back in the driver's seat. Move out with urgency because we have your back. I have your back, and the Commander-in-Chief. And when we give you this guidance, we know mistakes will be made. It's the nature of leadership. But you should not pay for earnest mistakes for your entire career. And that's why today, at my direction, we're making changes to the retention of adverse information on personnel records that will allow leaders with forgivable, earnest, or minor infractions to not be encumbered by those infractions in perpetuity.
He's literally just bitter he was ever promoted because he was a drunk. Oh my God. So in other words, do you have folliculitis? Throw you out. You're a black man. We don't want you with a super curly hair. We're throwing you guys out. Are you a drunk? Did you grow up a subordinate? Promotion. Bro, you got to stop following a Save Titty streamer every time you make it alt. We know it's you. Oh, no. What did Limmy do? Limmy would hate your ass. Why are you following people that would hate you? That's funny.
People make honest mistakes, and our mistakes should not define an entire career. Otherwise, we only try not to make mistakes, and that's not the business. We need risk takers and aggressive leaders and a culture that supports you. At the War Department, promotions across the Joint Force will be based on one thing: colorblind, gender-neutral, merit-based. The entire promotion process, including evaluations of warfighting capabilities, is being thoroughly re-examined. We've already done a lot in this area, but more changes are coming soon. We'll promote top-performing officers and NCOs faster and get rid of poor performers more quickly. Evaluations, education, and field exercises will become real evaluations, not box checks. Every one of us at every. These same reforms happened before World War II as well. General George Marshall and Secretary of War Henry Stimson did the same thing. And we won a world war because of it. As it happens, when he started the job, Chairman Klein gave me a frame and a photo to hang in my office. A matching frame and photo hangs in his. It's a photo of Marshall and Stimson preparing for World War II. Those two leaders famously kept the door open between their offices for the entirety of the war. They worked together, civilian and uniform, every single day. Chairman Klein and I do the same. There is no daylight between us. Our doors are always open. Our job together is to ensure our military is led by the very best, ready to answer. As you have seen, and the media has obsessed over, I have fired a number of senior officers since taking over. The previous chairman, other members of the Joint Chiefs, combatant commanders, and other commanders. The rationale, for me, has been straightforward. It's nearly impossible to change a culture with the same people who helped create or even benefited from that culture, even if that culture was created by a previous president and previous secretary. My approach has been simple. When in doubt, assess the situation, follow your gut, and if it's the best for the military, make a change. We all serve at the pleasure of the president, every single, but in many ways.
Okay, I just want to say this is like incredibly dangerous because the United States of America is a nation, which means we have national interests, and then there are political factions within the country. And sometimes those political factions have different interests, right? If you have a military that's 100% loyal to the president himself and not the nation itself, or you have a president that asks the military and the national forces to serve him instead of the country, then you don't have a democracy. You have a faction in control. And you cannot have a functioning democracy if one faction can deploy the military against its opponents.
It's not their fault.
Trump, I'll be meeting with generals and with admirals, and if I don't like somebody, I'll fire them right on the spot.
I'm going to be meeting generals and with admirals and with leaders, and if I don't like somebody, I'm going to fire them right on the spot. This time. So I'm going over, I'm going to be meeting.
So in other words, I would just call this fascism. I would just say that this is the attempt to undermine the professional military, to undermine the political neutrality of the military, and use it as a domestic force. Now, as Marxists, as socialists, we always understand that fundamentally bourgeois democracy is a farce, and it serves the interests. It's a bourgeois dictatorship, and it serves the interests of the capitalist class. But I want you to understand that that is a very simplistic and reductive understanding. It goes deeper than that. Exactly how the military is being deployed matters. Exactly the range of these the political interference the military has in a country matters. Things could get worse, and this is the degradation of the mask. It is the removing of the velvet glove. It is capitalism and liberal democracy in crisis.
It's not your fault. As foolish and reckless as the woke department was, those officers were following elected
You're posting a tiny
leadership.
link? No, you can't do that here.
An entire generation of generals and admirals were told.
You don't get to post tiny links in my chat ever. What are you doing? Are you okay?
That they must parrot the insane fallacy that, quote, our diversity is our strength. We know our unity. They had to put out dizzying DEI and LGBTQI+ statements. They were told females and males are the same thing, or that males who think they're females totally normal. They were told that we need a green fleet and electric tanks. They were told to kick out Americans who refuse an emergency vaccine. They followed civilian.
You understand why hybrid tanks are actually good, right? You understand that hybrid tanks are actually better. They have a longer range. They have better torque. Like, there's all sorts of advantages for hybrid tanks. Are you fucking stupid? Being more efficient means you need less fucking logistics tail. This guy is dumber than dirt. They're gonna fucking lose every war. They're dumber than fucking dirt. This is why we're gonna lose to the Chinese, because Americans, especially conservative Americans, are worried about being gay. They have said like solar panels are gay. Right? Like, these guys think that if they put up a fucking windmill, it means they're sucking dicks. Dude, we all know you are. We already know. You can come out of the closet. It's okay. There's a reason why they're worshiping the Spartans, okay? It is a dog whistle to other gay conservatives, all right? That's what that is. Every time you hear the word, oh, we love Spartan culture, that just means they want to suck dick, okay? That's what that is. It's sniffies for conservatives. And there's nothing wrong with being gay. Being gay is completely normal, but being really precious about it, being in the closet about it, and then getting so fucking weird about paranoid about putting out the idea you might be gay so you don't use hybrid tanks, which are a better technology, or you fire talented logistics planners because they couldn't do 50 push-ups at the age 65. Like, what are you doing? What the fuck are you talking about? And yes, that's a great point. Dragon Army says if China develops electric tanks, we have a hard time targeting it because of how much our capacities rely on heat signature from exhaust. Exactly. You could idle engines or turn them off in certain combat situations and run off battery. That's also quiet. I don't know if you know this, but their electric engines are nearly silent. They're fucking stupid. And this is why the Chinese are going to win, because the Chinese don't have all these hang-ups. They just look at technology and they're purely pragmatic. Does this technology effective? Does this technology work? What are our goals? How do we achieve our goals? They don't have all this fucking, quite frankly, I don't know how else to put it, fruity hang-ups. Conservative men in America have so many fruity hang-ups. It's crazy.
Policies set by foolish and reckless political, our job, my job.
U.S. Army spending big on hybrid electric Abrams tanks. What, are you going to cancel this? Are you going to cancel this because it's too gay to have a battery? The Chinese just came out with a new tank, the T-100.
Has been to determine which leaders simply did what they must to answer the prerogatives of civilian leadership, and which leaders are truly invested in the woke department, and therefore incapable of embracing the War Department and executing new lawful orders. It's that simple.
Oh, so it's a political purge.
So for the past 8 months, we've gotten a good look under the hood of our officer corps. We've done our best to thoroughly assess the human terrain. We've had to make trade-offs.
Oh, okay. So we are literally doing a fascist purge of the military. See, I warned you, like, this is one of the things that I weren't warned about, is the Democrats have left us unprotected. The Democrats have left us unprotected with this bipartisan bullshit. And I think a lot of leftists are just, quite frankly, stupid when it comes to the risks of the state, or they underestimate the power of the state because they're a dumb American brain. They're dumb Amera brains. And they think they're consumer grade firearms, whatever the fuck, or some sort of like protection from, Palantir hyper surveillance and the fucking U.S. military. Cool. This is awesome.
And some difficult decisions. It's more of an art than a science. We have been and will continue to be judicious, but also expeditious. The new compass heading is clear. Out with the Shirellis, the Mackenzies, and the Millies, and in with the Stockdales, the Schwarzkopfs, and the Patton.
I was wondering what this fucking room was. This is what they're... Guys, he's just a movie. He's just a... Oh my God, he's such a dumb fucking bitch. God, they're so stupid. This is what he's literally doing. He's literally doing this from a fucking movie. He's doing this from a fucking movie.
Be seated. I want you to remember that no bastard ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by making the other poor dumb bastard die for his country. And then all this stuff you've heard about America not wanting to fight, wanting to stay out of the war, is a lot of horse dung. Americans traditionally love to fight. All real Americans love the sting of battle. When you were kids, You all admired the champion marble shooter, the fastest runner, big league ball players, the toughest boxer. Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I wouldn't give a hoot in hell for a man who lost and laugh. That's why Americans have never lost and will never lose a war.
Now, this movie was made in the context of Vietnam. It came out in 1970. The point was that this guy is a fucking retrograde moron. And he had to crawl on his hands and knees to Omar Bradley to be given command. Like, god damn, this is such a fucking embarrassment that you could watch Patton and then literally get nothing from it. And George C. Scott was a fucking lefty.
Because the very thought of losing is hateful to America.
I don't think you can purge militaries nowadays. Why do people say stuff like this? Why do people say stuff like this? For the love of God, stop thinking like the world is a video fucking game or an RPG. You're so Ameribrained. This is why talking to Westerners is such a fucking drag. Jesus Christ. Just because you live in a privileged society and and everything you're accustomed to works out in the end, stop it. Have you not seen 1 million children obliterated in front of your eyes? And maybe what, you think you're any different?
More leadership changes will be made, of that I'm certain. Not because we want to, but because we must. Once again, this is life. The sooner we have the right people, the sooner we can advance the right policies. Personnel is policy. But I look out at this group and I see great Americans. Leaders who have given decades to our great republic, at great sacrifice to yourselves and to your families. But if the words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. But I suspect.
Never resign. Never resign. This is a pro tip from Mike from PA. Never resign, never quit. Take every appeal. The only exception is when you are being promoted to something even better. Never quit, never resign. Always force people to go through every single stage to get rid of you. Burrow in like a fucking tick. And if you feel someone tugging on your body, release Lyme disease into the fucking host.
I know. The overwhelming majority of you feel the opposite. These words make your heart. You love the War Department because you love what you do, the profession of arms. You are hereby liberated to be an apolitical, hard-charging, no-nonsense, constitutional leader that you joined the military to be. We need you locked in on the M, not the D, the E or the I, not the DEI or the DIE of dime. By that I mean the M, military, of the instruments of national power. We have
AKA apolitical guys. Apolitical guys. National instrument of national power. Apolitically.
Entire departments across the government dedicated to diplomatic, informational, and economic lines of effort. We do the M. Nobody else does. And our GoFos need to master it in every domain and every scenario. No more distractions, no more political ideologies, no more debris. Now, of course, we're going to disagree at times. We would not be Americans if we. Being a leader in a large organization like ours means having frank conversation and differences of opinion. You will win some arguments and you will lose some arguments. But when civilian leaders issue lawful orders, we execute. We are professional in the profession of arms. Our entire constitutional system is predicated upon this understanding. Seems like a small thing, but it's not. This includes as well the behavior of our troops online. To that end, I want to thank and recognize the services for their new proactive social media policy. Use them. Anonymous, online, or keyboard complaining is not worthy of a warrior. It's cowardice.
Wow, this is actually such bad leadership. That's crazy. This is like crazy bad leadership. This is crazy bad leadership. So what he's referring to, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is basically you'll have spaces online where vetted or not so vetted troops and airmen, Marines, sailors, guardians, whatever, they could talk about things that they think are not going well. Maybe it's a policy, maybe it's a piece of equipment, maybe it's leadership, and they do so in kind of a semi-anonymous or anonymous fashion. And you know what a smart leader does? They go and read those boards, because sometimes they say shit that's really important, but it's too risky to say to a superior. Maybe there is a junior officer or a mid-level leader who is fucking up. This is literally dumb. This is closing your ears to information because it makes you look bad. This is the definition of fucking dipshittery. What a small dick dude. Holy shit. This is the smallest dick energy I've ever seen in my life. Oh my God.
Masquerading as conscience. Anonymous, unit-level social media pages that trash commanders, demoralize troops, and undermine unit cohesion must not. 03s. Sixth, we must train and we must maintain. Any moment that we are not training on our mission or maintaining our equipment is a moment we are less prepared for preventing or winning the next war. That is why today, at my direction, we are drastically reducing the ridiculous amount of mandatory training that individuals and units. We've already ended the most egregious. Now we're giving you back real time. Less PowerPoint briefings and fewer online courses, more time in the motor pool, and more time on the range. Our job is to make sure you have the money, equipment, weapons, and parts to train and maintain, and then you take it from there.
Guys,
you all know this because it's common sense.
Holy shit.
The tougher and the higher the standards in our units, the higher the retention rates. Warriors want to be challenged. Troops want to be tested. When you don't train and you don't maintain, you demoralize. And that's when our best people decide to take their talents to the civilian world. The leaders who created the woke department have already driven out too many hard chargers. We reversed that trend. There is no world in which high-intensity war exists without pain, agony, and human tragedy.
The movie is called Patton.
We are in a dangerous line of work.
Patton is about a famous American fascist general who thankfully died in 1946 from crashing his Jeep. One of the most positive accidents of history.
We may lose good people, but let no warrior cry out from the grave, if only I had been properly trained. We will not lose warfighters because we failed to train or equip them or resource them. Shame on us if we do. Train like your warriors' lives depend on it, because they do. To that point, basic training is being restored to what it should be: scary, tough, and disciplined. We're empowering drill sergeants to instill healthy fear in new recruits, ensuring that future warfighters are forged. Yes, they can shark attack, they can toss bunks, they can swear, and yes, they can put their hands on recruits. This does not mean they can be reckless or violate the law, but they can use tried and true methods to motivate new recruits, to make them the warriors. Back to basics at basic as well. And you know this basic training is not where mission readiness should end. The nature of the evolving threat environment demands that everyone in every job must be ready to join the fight if needed. A core credo of the Marine Corps.
Complete waste. Complete waste. Like this is like one of the most embarrassing poser type shit. It's like, we want to make sure the secretaries can jump in and run the tanks. Dumb.
Or is every Marine a rifleman? It means that everyone, regardless of MOS, is proficient enough to engage an enemy threat at sea, in the air, or in a so-called rear area. We need to ensure that every member of our uniformed military maintains baseline proficiency in basic combat skills, especially because the next war, like the last, will likely not have a rear. Finally, as President Trump rightly pointed out when he changed the department name, the United States has not won a major theater war since the name was changed to the Department of Defense in 1940. One conflict stands out in stark contrast: the Gulf War. Well, there's a number of reasons, but it was a limited mission with overwhelming force and a clear end state.
Because it was diplomatically constructed, and it had global consent, and then we withdrew our forces. And even then, in the long run, it led to even more catastrophic outcomes.
Why did we execute and win the Gulf War the way we did in 1991? There's two overwhelming reasons. One was President Ronald Reagan's military buildup gave an overwhelming advantage. And two, military and Pentagon leadership, previous formative battlefield experience. The men who led this department during the Gulf War were mostly combat veterans of the Vietnam War. They said never again to mission creep or nebulous end states. The same holds true today. Our civilian and military leadership is chock full of veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan who say never again to nation building and nebulous end states. This clear-eyed view, all the way in the White House, combined with President Trump's military buildup, postures us for future victories if
China is going to eat their fucking lunch.
And we will, and when we embrace the War Department. And we must. We are preparing. Every day, we have to be prepared for war, not for defense. We're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense is something you do all the time. It's inherently reactionary and can lead to overuse, overreach, and mission creep. War is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims.
Reactive, you illiterate.
We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, and kill the enemies of our country.
I will say this, like, I think these type of guys, unlettered, stupid, macho, evil, inhuman. The reason why you have things like rules of engagement is because you understand that when you kill innocents wantonly, you instill permanent hatred against you. And then the enemy gets a stronger political and then therefore battlefield position. There's a reason why the United States military had a lot of rules of engagement in World War II even, and why they spent so much effort on civilian relationships in liberated, so-called liberated areas, because they understood if they were seen as murdering and wantonly killing civilians, people would not support them. What made us win World War II is because it was clear to everyone the United States is not here to conquer you. At least that was the propaganda. This is, oh, the United States is here. They're going to kill innocent people.
No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum
AKA the rules and laws of civilized war.
Lethality and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader. And it's all my E6 squad leaders ever wanted. Back to that E6. We let our leaders fight their formation, and then we have their back. It's very simple, yet incredibly. A few months ago, I was at the White House when President Trump announced his Liberation Day for America's trade policy. It was a landmark day. Well, today is another Liberation Day. The liberation of America's warriors, in name, in deed, and in authorities. You kill people and break things for a living. You are not politically correct and don't necessarily belong in polite society. We are not an army of one. We are a joint force of millions of selfless Americans. We are warriors. We are purpose-built, not for fair weather, blue skies, or calm seas. We were built to load up in the back of helicopters, 5 tons, or Zodiacs, in the dead of night, in fair weather or foul, to go to dangerous places, to find those who would do our nation harm, and deliver justice on behalf of the American people in close and brutal combat. You are different. We fight not because we hate what's in front of us. We fight because we love what's... You see, the Ivy League faculty lounges will never understand us, and that's okay, because they could never do what you do. The media will mischaracterize us, and that's okay, because deep down they know the reason they can do what they do is you.
I want you to understand that this is literally the dumbest blather I've ever seen. Ivy League faculty lounges are full of people of high intellect. You think it's hard to just mindlessly squeeze a trigger, not caring what you hit? Like, come on. Like, what are we talking about here? This is just nonsense. It's blather. It is service of mediocrity.
In this profession, you feel comfortable inside the violence so that our citizens can live peacefully. Lethality is our calling card, and victory our only acceptable. In closing,
which is just pedantic, which is just nonsensical, which is just meaningless. Victory means nothing without a context. You're just saying platitudinous bullshit. And quite frankly, this is why we lose wars.
A few weeks ago, at our monthly Pentagon Christian prayer service, I recited a commander's prayer. It's a simple yet meaningful prayer for wisdom for commanders and leaders. I encourage you to look it up. But the prayer, it ends like this. And most of all, please keep my soldiers, lead them, guide them, watch over them. And as you gave all of yourself for me, help me give all of myself. I have prayed this prayer many times since I've had the privilege of being yours. And I will continue to pray this prayer for each of you as you command and lead our nations. Go forth and do good things, hard things. President Trump has your back, and so do I. And you'll hear from him shortly. Move out and draw fire, because we are the War Department.
We'll get to the new Aiming animation later. Don't worry. It's a little early. Let people wake up, okay? Like, you know, that's like some quality. That's some quality content. We don't want to do it at like fucking 8 a.m. Come on. Let people wake the fuck up. Okay, I should skip ahead instead of listening to Pomp and Circumstance.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Secretary of War.
Well, you've heard from me, so now it's the main event. Our Commander-in-Chief. I have the privilege every single day of ensuring that our warfighters have everything. His compass is... I was thinking backstage, the man who was the Commander-in-Chief when the War Department was created was George Washington, reestablished. And when he found out about this gathering of senior leaders, he said, I would be honored in order to address and thank the incredible American. He has a heart full of gratitude and love, and we get a chance to see it every day. And I'm honored that this morning you all firsthand get to see it. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the 45th and 47th President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, Jay.
I was told a murmur in the... I want to thank General Kane, Raising Kane's of staff, and many others together represent the history of the world over the last... The incompetence. There could be no higher honor than to serve as your Commander-in-Chief. It is a great honor. I look at you, you're just incredible people. Central casting, I might add. To each and every...
He's such a fucking queen, dude. God, he's always crushing on men.
one of you, I thank you for your unwavering devotion to the armed forces and to the country that we've all sworn a sacred oath to defend. We all have that oath, every one of us. I'm thrilled to be here this morning to address the senior leadership of what is once again known around the world as the Department of War. I know Pete spoke about it. He gave a great speech, I thought. Great speech. I don't want him to get so good. No, I hate it. I almost fired him. I said, you can't, I don't want to go on after that. No, he gave a great speech, but he talked about Department of War. We were sitting there. I said, didn't it used to be called the Department of War? And he goes, yes, sir. They changed it like in the early 50s. So we won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything in between and everything before that. We only won. And then we went, in a way, woke. That was probably the first sign of wokeness. And we changed it to defense instead of war. And I said, what do you think? How do you think if we changed it back? Would that be a nice idea? And Pete loved it immediately. Some people thought about it. You know, they gave it a little thought. But in the end, we did it. And I have to be honest, it's so popular. I thought it would be met with fury on the left, but they're sort of giving up, I must be honest. They've had it. They've had it with Trump. They've been after me for so many years now. Here we are. Here we are. Come to the White House anytime you'd like. No, they've given up. They're bad, a lot of bad people. But all over, that's been so popular. It's been very popular. I really thought that we were going to have to sort of fight it through. There's been no fight. There's been no fight. Like what I called the Gulf of America, the Gulf of America, because to me it was always the Gulf of America. I could never understand. We have 92% of the frontage, and for years, actually 350 years, they were there before us. It was called the Gulf of Mexico. I just had this idea. I'm looking at a map, I'm saying, we have most of the frontage. Why is it Gulf of Mexico? Why isn't it the of America? And I made the change, and it went smoothly. I mean, we had a couple of fake news outlets that refused to make the change. And then one of them, AP, took us to court, and we won. And the judge, who was a somewhat liberal judge, said, the name is the Gulf of America, because AP refused to call it the Gulf of America. They wrote, they're not a good outfit, by the way. They call it the Gulf of Mexico. I said, no, the Gulf of America is the name. And the judge actually said that, in fact, you can't even go into the room because what you're doing is not appropriate. The name is the Gulf of America. Google Maps changed the name. Everybody did, but AP wouldn't. And then we won in court. How about that? Isn't that so cool? The Secretary Hexa beautifully described the name change reflects far more than the shift in branding. It's really a historic reassertion of our purpose and our identity and our pride. That's when we go with the word war. And, you know, we want
war because we want to have no wars, but you have to be there, and you know sometimes you have to do it. I have settled so many wars since we're here almost 9 months, and I've settled 7. And yesterday we might have settled the biggest of them all. Although I don't know, Pakistan, India was very big. Both nuclear powers, I settled that. But yesterday could be the settlement in the Middle East. That hasn't happened for 3,000 years. I said, how long have you been fighting? 3,000 years, sir. That's a long time. But we got it, I think, settled. We'll see. Hamas has to agree. And if they don't, it's going to be very tough on them. But it is what it is. But all of the Arab nations, Muslim nations have agreed. Israel has agreed. Amazing thing. It just came together. War is very strange. You know, you never know what's going to happen with war. The easiest one of them all is Putin. I said, number one, it's a war that would have never happened if I were president, if the election weren't rigged. If I were president, that war would have never happened. Not even a little chance. And it didn't happen for 4 years. But I knew Putin very well, and I thought that would be easy because I know him so well. Well, that one turned out to be the hardest of them all. We had some that were not settlable, and they all got settled. So if this works out, that we did yesterday, with the Middle East, then that's more than a war. That's lots of wars. That's all combined. That's a lot of wars. Many of you were over there in many different capacities in many different countries. That's a big part of the earth. But if that works out, it would be 8+. I could give myself 2 or 3 for that one. And then we just have the one to settle. We have to settle it up with President Putin and Zelensky. Got to get them together and get it done. But the only way we can do that is through strength. I mean, if we were weak, they wouldn't even take my phone call. But we have extreme strength. We had the horror show in Afghanistan, which is really the reason I think that Putin went in. He saw that horror show by Biden and his team, incompetent people. And that showed, I think it gave him a path in. I wasn't there any longer. I watched that, and it was so horrible. I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And now we're back. That's it. We're not going to have any of that crap happen. That was terrible, so terrible. Together we're reawakening the warrior spirit, and this is a spirit that won and built this nation. And from the cavalry that tamed the Great Plains to the ferocious, unyielding power of Patton, Bradley, and the great General Douglas MacArthur. These are all great men in this effort. We're a team, and so...
MacArthur, fascist, lunatic, and loser. Most famous for getting defeated. Patton, fascist nincompoop who got removed from his post in the middle of World War II because he was such a dope. And Bradley's fine. I mean, whatever. But, like, come on. This is embarrassing.
So my message to you is very simple. I am with you. I support you. And as president, I have your backs 100%. You'll never see me even waver a little bit. It's the way it is. And that includes our great police officers and firemen and all of these people that are doing so well. Together over the next few years, we're going to make our military stronger, tougher, faster, fiercer, and more powerful than it has ever been before. I rebuilt our nuclear, as you probably know, but we'll upgrade that also and just hope we never have to use it. We have to hope we never have to, because the power of that is so incredible. I see things, I don't think they'd show it to you. I really wouldn't want them to show it to you. But when you see the result, what's left, you never want to use that. Never, ever. We were a little bit threatened by Russia recently, and I sent a submarine, nuclear submarine, the most lethal weapon ever made. Number one, you can't detect it. There's no way. We're 25 years ahead of Russia and China.
I'm sorry, Chad. The buzzing sound is from his microphone.
In submarines. Russia's actually second in submarines. China's third, but they're coming up. They're coming up. They're way lower in nuclear too, but in 5 years they'll be equal. They're coming up. And you don't have to be that good with nuclear. You could have 1/20th what you have now and still do the damage. That'd be so horrendous. But I announced.
The thing about nuclear weapons is that people don't even really understand the power. Even if you think you do, you probably don't. So somebody like Donald Trump, who's very dumb, if somebody explained it to him well, he probably fixates on it. Am I coping? Does he sound awful? Yes, he does sound awful. The best thing that we have is that he's an obese 80-year-old. There's not a lot of obese 80-year-olds out there, okay? All right? Like, it's only a matter of time.
That, based on his mention of nuclear, and it was really a stupid person that works for him mentioned the word nuclear. A submarine or two, I won't say about the two, over to the coast of Russia, just to be careful, because we can't let people throw around that word. I call it the N-word. There are two N-words, and you can't use either of them. You can't use either.
We're losing to this. We're actually losing to this. We're not really losing to this. We're losing. First of all, let's just be honest. We lost to Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and Hillary Clinton. That's even more embarrassing. That is legitimately embarrassing. They had to cheat to beat us. I mean, they beat us because most regular people were not involved. It's a primary. Only weirdos vote in primaries.
Frankly, if it does get to use, we have more than anybody else. We have better, we have newer, but it's something we don't ever want to even have to think about. But when somebody mentions it, that submarine started immediately thereafter. And it's just lurking, but I'm sure we're not going to have to use it. But it's an amazing, it's undetectable, totally. Ours is, theirs isn't. Theirs are totally detectable. We can detect them easily. We go right to the spot. But we have genius apparatus that doesn't allow detection. It doesn't allow detection at all by anybody above water or below water. It's incredible. We're way ahead of everybody in that and other things. As a result of the exciting renewal of the spirit of our armed forces, and that's what it is. It's really reaching that spirit, unprecedented heights. Over the past 8 months, new enlistments, I'm so proud of this, have surged to record highs, the highest we've ever had. And we used to...
That's because the economy's crashing, bitch. That's because the economy's crashing, bitch.
Have recruiting shortages. If you remember, about a year and a half ago, I was at the beginning stage of a campaign, and things came out that you couldn't get people to join the armed forces. And by the way, the police also, fire department. I always put the fire department in because they're great. They're great. And I got 95% of their vote, too. That helps. When you get 95% of their vote, you always have to mention them. But they're great. And they're brave in our inner cities, which we're going to be talking about, because it's a big part of war now. It's a big part of war. But the firemen go up in ladders, and you have people shooting at them while they're up in ladders. I don't even know if anybody heard that. And I said, don't talk about it much, but I think you have to. Our firemen are incredible. They're up in one of these ladders that goes way up to the sky, rescuing people, and you have animals shooting at them, shooting bullets at firemen that are way up in death territory. You fall off that ladder, it's over. It's over. They don't even have to inspect you when you hit the ground. And you have people shooting bullets at them in some of these inner cities. We're not going to let that happen. So I always mention the firemen because that's actually a problem we have. They are unbelievable. Like you, they're unbelievable people. For the first time on record in 2025, the Navy, Air Force, and Space Force all met or surpassed their recruiting goals 3 months early. That never happened before. And the Army did even better. Congratulations, Army. They met everything. And these were the highest standards because we're making it larger. So these were much higher standards than you had 4 years ago, 3 years ago, during the sleepy Joe Biden era. And the Army did it 4 months early. And you remember, a year and a half ago, they said the big story is that we're way behind with the Army, Air Force, the Navy, the Marines. We're way behind, Coast Guard, and even Space Force. I love Space Force because that was my creation. You know, when you create something, I love it. And the people we put in there were good. I got that right. We put in great people initially, and we've really dominated. We really dominate in that sphere now. We're way behind China and Russia, and now we dominate. Space Force turned out to be a very important thing. I said from the beginning, you know, when Biden came into office, he wanted to terminate it. He said, and this thing called Space Force, so we could get rid of that. And he got hammered by the people in this room for even suggesting it. It's very important, one of the most important. And as time goes by, it'll get more and more important. But we're now at 106% of our recruiting targets for the year, and that's the best in far more than a generation. And for the Marines, morale is so strong that the Marine Corps will meet its 2026 retention targets before the end of October, which never happens. And that's the earliest it's ever happened in the history of our country.
Recession indicator, the economy's crashing. Recession indicator. It's actually a really good recession indicator is when the military stops needing to like recruit. It's because, you know, you need a job. So that's why.
And it makes you feel good, you know. I felt guilty. I'd go make a speech in front of never people like you. You are the leaders. But people, soldiers. And I felt embarrassed because there'd be stories about, we couldn't fill up our Army, Navy, Air Force. We couldn't fill them up. It was headlines. It was during Biden's 4 years. The auto pen. I call them the auto pen. It's, how would you like to have your thing signed by an auto pen? When I have a general and I have to sign for a general because we have beautiful paper, the gorgeous paper, I said throw a little more gold on it. They deserve it. I want the A paper, not the D paper. We used to sign a piece of garbage. I said, this man's going to be a general, right? Yeah. I don't want to use this. I want to use the big, beautiful, firm paper. I want to use the real gold writing when you talk about the position, and they're beautiful. And how would you like to have that where some kid sitting in the back office is having it signed with an auto pen? I thought about it, and I thought about you people first, admirals, generals. I said, somebody works his whole life. He gets into maybe the academies or wherever, but however you got there, and you go through years of work, and now you become an admiral or a general or whatever. And when you do, the President of the United States signs your commission, as you know, and that commission is beautifully displayed. And I sign it. Actually, I love my signature. I really do. Everyone loves my signature.
Technically, every officer has a presidential commission. What makes generals and admirals different is they have a congressional commission. Generals and admirals have to be passed through the Congress.
But I signed it very proudly, and I always think to myself, how can you have an auto pen sign this? It's just so disrespectful. To me, it's just totally disrespectful. And it turned out that almost everything he did was signed by auto pen, except for when he gave his son, Hunter, pardon. He signed that one. And that's actually the worst signature I've ever seen. That was the bad. The auto pen looks much better.
Can you imagine, like, whether or not you are an American, even if you're a conservative, you have to understand that this is like a sign of America's collapsing, right? Like, can you imagine Xi going up there and doing a stand-up skit to the People's Liberation Army generals? Deng Xiaoping, his signature, it wasn't as good as mine. It wasn't as good as mine. Mao, he didn't fill out the suit like I do. Look at my upper body. I have the muscles. Like, what the fuck?
But as leaders, our commitment.
Gee, there are 2 N-words. Like, what the fuck are we talking? It's not even funny because these are old bits. It's like going to a Gallagher show or something. The guy's been crushing watermelons for 45 years. Can we get a new joke?
To every patriot who put on the uniform is to ensure that American military remains the most lethal and dominant on the planet, not merely for a few years, but for the decades and generations to come, for centuries. We must be so strong that no nation will dare challenge us, so powerful that no enemy will dare threaten us, and so capable that no adversary can even think about beating us. And we've had it recently. I had India and Pakistan were going at it. And I called them both. And in this case, I used trade. I'm not going to trade with you. You start 2 nuclear nations, big nuclear. And no, you cannot do that. I said, yes, I can. You go into this frickin' war that I'm hearing about. Actually, they just shot down 7 planes. 7 planes, it was starting. There's a lot of bad blood. And I said, you do this, there's not going to be any trade. And I stopped the war. It was raging for 4 days, but that was just the beginning. And we stopped it. It was a great thing. And the Prime Minister of Pakistan was here, along with the Field Marshal, who's a very important guy in Pakistan, and he was here 3 days ago. And I didn't even realize it as beautiful as he said it, but he said that to a group of people that were with us, 2 generals, but a group, he said this man saved millions of lives because he saved the war from going on, and that war was going to get very bad, very, very bad. President Trump saved millions and millions of lives. That was a bad war. And I was very honored. I loved the way he said it. Susie Wiles was there. She said that was the most beautiful thing. But we saved a lot of them. Saved a lot of them. Even in Africa, we saved the Congo with Rwanda. They've been fighting for 31 years, 10 million people dead. I got that one done. And very proud of it. So if this works out, we'll have 8 in 8 months. That's pretty good. Nobody's ever done that. Will you get the Nobel Prize? Absolutely not. They'll give it to some guy that didn't do a damn thing. They'll give it to a guy that wrote a book about the mind of Donald Trump. and what it took to solve the wars. And he'll get the Nobel Prize will go to a writer. No, but well, let's see what happens. But it's be a big insult to our country. I will tell you that. I don't want it. I want the country to get it. It should get it because there's never been anything like it. Think of it. So if this happens, I think it will. I don't say that lightly because I know more about deals than anybody. This is what my whole life was based on. And they can change, and this can certainly change. But we have just about everybody. We have one signature that we need, and that signature will pay in hell if they don't sign. I hope they sign for their own good and we create something really great. But to have done 8 of them is just like such an honor. And then we have Putin and Zelensky, the easiest one of them all. I said, that one I'll get done. I thought that was going to be first. The others were much harder, some of them. Azerbaijan, this was going on for 36 years. They said, it's not solvable, sir. Don't do it. I said, I will do it. I will do it. And I got on the phone with the 2 countries. They were great. They were great. I knew immediately. I knew as soon as I started talking to them, we're going to solve that war. We did. Now they're so happy. Now they're friends. One said he's been president for 32 years, 22 years. He said, for 22 years I did nothing but kill his people. They were in the room together at the Oval Office. And they started off spread like this. I have the beautiful Resolute desk. And one was here, and one was here. You couldn't get further away. That's the furthest I've ever seen 2 people in front of me. And as the hour went by, they got closer, closer, closer. And at the end of the hour, we had it done. And they hugged and hugged and hugged. And I said, that's so nice, and you're going to remain friends. And I spoke to them, one of them the other day. He said, no, he's now my friend. But for 22 years, he's been the head of Azerbaijan for 22 years. And the other guy, great guy too, 7. And that war, that was a war that was not solvable. He said for 7 years. The other one said for 22 years. All I did was kill his people. That's all I've done. I said, well, we're going to put a stop to that. So we solved that. So it's a great thing. It's a great feeling. You're saving Kosovo and Serbia. You're saving so many lives.
Donald Trump hasn't done a goddamn thing. I mean, this is just babbling. He's just things happening while he's president going, I did that. Like, he's just a dumb son of a bitch. It's like, oh, wow, there was a massive ethnic cleansing. I guess he did that.
This, if you can do it. But our people deserve nothing less than the very best, and we're never going to let them down. And if we can solve wars instead of you having to fight wars, wouldn't that be wonderful, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's why one of the first executive orders I signed upon taking office was to restore the principle of merit. That's the most important word, other than the word tariff. I love tariffs. Most beautiful word. But I'm not allowed to say that anymore. I said tariff is my favorite word. I love the word tariff. We're becoming rich as hell. We have a big case in front of the Supreme Court, but I can't imagine. Because this is what other nations have done to us. And we have, great legal grounds. But you still have a case. It would be very bad if something happened. But I said, my favorite word in the English dictionary is the word tariff. And people thought that was strange. And the fake news came over and they really hit me hard on it. They said, what about love? What about religion? What about God? What about wife, family? I got killed when I said tariff is my favorite word. So I changed it. It's now my 5th favorite word. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But they hit me hard. But it is. I mean, when you look at, we've taken in trillions of dollars. We're rich again. And there'll never be, when we finish this out, there'll never be any wealth like what we have. Other countries were taking advantage of us for years and years. You know that better than anybody. And now
where in the country would you say is improving the fastest, Donald Trump? Like, what would you say is like, this is where the wealth is? You could just walk on the streets and you could see the wealth everywhere and everyone's prosperous. Like, where's the spot?
Treating them fairly. But the money coming in is, we've never seen anything like it. The other day they had $31 billion that they found, $31 billion. So we found $31 billion and we're not sure from where it came. A gentleman came in, a financial guy. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, we don't know where it came. I said, check the tariff shelf. No, sir, the tariffs haven't started in that sector yet. I said, yes, they have. They started 7 weeks ago. Check it. Comes back 20 minutes later. Sir, you're right. It came from tariffs. $31 billion. That's enough to buy a lot of battleships, Admiral, to use an old term. I think we should maybe start thinking about battleships, by the way. We have a Secretary of the Navy came to me because I look at the Iowa out in California, and I look at different ships and the old pictures. I used to watch Victory at Sea. I love Victory at Sea. Look at these admirals. It's got to be your all-time in black and white. And I look at those ships. They came with the destroyers alongside of them, and man, nothing was going to stop. They were 20 deep, and they were in a straight line, and there was nothing going to stop them. And we actually talk about, those ships. Some people would say, no, that's old technology. I don't know. I don't think it's old technology when you look at those guns. But it's something we're actually considering, the concept of battleship. Nice 6-inch sides, solid steel, not aluminum that melts if it looks at a missile coming at it. Starts melting as the missile's about 2 miles away. Those ships, they don't make them that way anymore. But you look at it, and your secretary likes it, and I'm sort of open to it. And bullets are a lot less expensive than missiles. A lot of reasons. I take a vote, but I'm afraid to take that vote because I may get voted out on that one. But I tell you, it's something we're seriously considering. There were powers. There were big powers. They were just about as mean and scary as you could be. And so we're looking at that. One of the biggest cases that we won was the decision of the United States Supreme Court to allow us to proceed on the word merit. So those two words are right up there. So this is, I would say, the opposite if you ask for a definition, the opposite of political correctness. We went through political correct, where you had to have people that were totally unfit to be doing what you're doing for many reasons. I won't get into them, but for many reasons they were unfit. Now it's all based on merit. That was such an unbelievable decision. I didn't expect we were going to win that one. We went in. We said we need it. We went in for colleges, where kids with a C average are getting into the best colleges, and the kids with A averages won't get in.
Bro, that's you. That's you dumb fuck. You were a legacy. You dumb fuck. That's called legacy.
Kids with the highest boards and the highest marks or the best marks couldn't get into the best schools, and people that had not good boards and not very good marks, okay, but nothing special, they were getting into our best colleges. I said, this is just crazy. You can't run a country like this. And it was lingering for years, and it got to the Supreme Court, and we won that decision. Merit, everything's based on merit. You're all based on merit. We're not going to have somebody taking your place for political reasons because they are politically correct, and you're not. We take the people that are going to do the best job. That's all. It's very simple. And that's the way our country was built. We were built on merit. We got away from it for a long time, and everyone understands it. And it was done. It was approved. I give great credit to the Supreme Court because I thought they had tremendous courage. I didn't think they'd do that. That was tremendous. I give them maybe for that decision almost more than anything because it's a hard decision to make. It's really hard. The apparatus of our country was not set up for merit. It was set up for political correctness. And you can never be great if you're going to do that. And we're going to be greater than we ever were before. We're bringing back a focus on fitness, ability, character, and strength. And that's because the purposes of American military is not to protect anyone.
Okay, guys, am I alone in that this is too boring for me to even pay attention? Like, am I crazy that this is too boring to pay attention to? Like, I'm sorry, but like, where's the part where he says something that's interesting enough for me to give a fuck?
Everyone's feelings. It's to protect our republic, and it's the republic that we dearly love. It's to protect our country. We will not be politically correct when it comes to defending American freedom, and we will be a fighting and winning machine. We want to fight, we want to win, and we want to fight as little as possible. You have to count on people like me to keep you out of wars because we don't want to go into wars. Many of the wars that I just told you about, we could have entered those wars and settled them in a different way, lose a lot of our troops, and we could have settled them, I guess, differently. Maybe not, actually. Actually, you might not have been able to settle them. We just would have been in the middle of a lot of firepower. But when we do need it, you're going to be so ready, and you know it. But very importantly, with that goal in mind, I've committed to spending over $1 trillion on our military in 2026, and that's the most.
$1 trillion on our military, and it's all waste. Thankfully, we got to a point. $1 trillion. I want to remind you, chat. I want to remind you that Build Back Better, like the full Bernie Sanders style Build Back Better with all the goodies, was at the most $650 billion a year. We're talking about free childcare. We're talking about free college. We're talking about high-speed rail. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars for renewable energy. We're talking about paid medical and family leave. We're talking about like all sorts of shit. Hardening our infrastructure against climate change. Public transit expansions in every major U.S. city. And instead, we're spending it all on the fucking Pentagon, and they can't make a plane. The Chinese have multiple 6th generation fighters, and we have 187 F-22s that are 5th generation. We cannot make a ship. The USS Ford has been sailing since when? 2012? Sorry, 2013. They still cannot use its electronic catapults with the F-35. It's been 12 years. They cannot do it. The USS Ford is not currently able to launch the F-35C because the aircraft are not certified for the carrier's electromagnetic catapult system.
Technology on China's latest and most capable aircraft carrier has just made it part of a very exclusive club, with the United States the only other nation with the same capability. 3 types of aircraft have been launched from the Fijian aircraft carrier using an electromagnetic
China spent a third of what we did on their military last year.
catapult.
We can't do that. We cannot do that.
China's 5th generation J-35 stealth fighter, 4.5 generation J-15T fighter, and KJ-600 early warning and control aircraft are all seen being successfully launched using this advanced system. Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS, is said to use less energy and be maintenance friendly compared to its steam predecessor. An electromagnetic catapult can launch every 45 seconds, with each launch taking just 3 seconds. It can consume as much as 100 million watts of energy, enough to power a small town in the same time, and adds to the longevity of the carrier's flight deck and the aircraft launching as it puts less stress on both. The EMALS is fitted onto the carrier's flight deck. It uses a linear induction motor rather than the steam piston that was used before. When a launch occurs, the power is pulled from the generator within a 3-second pulse, almost like a burst of air being let out of a balloon. Afterwards, the power is drawn off, the generator's slow, and the electricity drops. But within those 45 seconds between launches, the rotors kick back into gear and get ready for another burst of energy. It has the potential to achieve acceleration forces of 14 Gs. The US were the first to operate this new catapult system that uses electromagnetics. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the world's largest aircraft carrier, was certified for flight deck operations using the EMALS system in 2022, proving they can launch an aircraft from 0 to 100 knots in a matter of seconds. The electromagnetic catapult system is also capable of lifting heavier weights than steam, meaning a more varied ability to launch different aircraft to fit operations. The catapult system was the first of its kind not to use steam and was developed by General Atomics. With this detailed look, we can see just how the system is fitted below the flight deck.
The difference is that the Chinese use supercapacitors and the US uses mechanical flywheels. So whenever there's a problem with the catapult, it takes 1.5 hours for the flywheels to stop. The Chinese, and they have to shut down every catapult. Whereas the Chinese, because they use capacitors, each catapult system is independent, so they can maintain one catapult while others are still launching. The US system is actually inferior, and the F-35 cannot use it. So it is 12 years of failure.
Another advantage they state is the reduced thermal signature, but it's not just about launching aircraft quickly and safely, but getting them back on board too. With the advanced arresting gear, the turbo-electric system is designed for controlled and reliable deceleration of aircraft, landing more safely and recovering the aircraft efficiently. At the time, the UK rejected the gas-powered version of this catapult system known as Cats and Traps in favour of the ski ramp. Electromagnetic was not in existence for carrier consideration, and with their commitment to the new F-35A aircraft coming into service, it would seem they have no plans to change. It's unclear whether the US and China are operating under a similar system, with China keeping it close to their chest. As they're now also at the forefront of this new technology, it could mean the Fujian ships commissioning into the People's Liberation Navy fleet could be right around the corner. Kirsty Chambers, BFBS Forces News. Thanks for watching. For more from BF
Of our country, $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. I hope you like that. Ma'ams and sirs, I hope you like it. That's a hell of a lot of money. We have the best of everything. Every branch.
We don't. That's the thing that's funny. The Chinese are spending a third of what we're spending, and they have better shit. They have better shit.
Seeing major investments, and as I announced in the Oval Office in March, we are rapidly moving forward with the first ever 6th generation fighter jet. I didn't name it. I didn't.
Mike, think of the poor shareholders.
Not name it.
Okay, fuck this shit. Like, honestly, we're wasting $1 trillion. These guys are fucking dopey fascists. I wouldn't be worried except for the fact the Democrats are so fucking worthless. And because you guys sat through that boring ass bullshit, I'm sorry I should have pulled it earlier. Guys, if you want me to skip shit, use this one of a kind emote, VO skip. VIO skip. Nobody else has that emote. Of course,
yes, I'm
kidding because like Peepo skip. I think we already have Peepo skip. Like I don't know. Or what do we have? Is it Peppo, Peepoo, PP skip? I don't know. Whatever. All right. We have, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest artists of our day, Amen Animations, and they have created the ultimate and surrealist art. Which honestly, the fact that they were able to make H3H3 look more surreal is truly an accomplishment, because these people are already Lovecraftian horrors. They are the high archons of Nurgle, the chaos god of filth, surrounded by phlegm and dog shit. And so, friend of the show, Amen Animations and I are currently in talks for a very exciting, I don't want to spoil, but friend of the show, Amen Animations. Another announcement of an announcement. Oh, yes. New Zach is Nurgle, H3 is Slanesh because he is not Slanesh. He's not Slanesh. He's not Slanesh. Slanesh at least has like beauty, it's being used to the service of lust and shit. He is not Slanesh. Like, get out of here. Slanesh has fun. Yeah, exactly. I don't think these two have ever experienced joy or happiness. Okay, let us begin. Am I a Warhammer Total War or am I a Warhammer phone? I am neither, unfortunately. Well, no, I like Total War. I just don't play. I haven't played Total War since like the old school Total Wars. Shoegaze, thank you for the tier 2. Maybe I played like Napoleon. Shogun. No, I played Shogun. Yeah, I played Shogun as well.
Yes, we are being sued for copyright infringement. And it's been hanging over our lives like a cloud these past months.
Yeah.
We are being sued by Bold Guy, aka Matt Haas Zone. We did our thing and we made a reaction video about him on our second channel, Ethan and Eli. And I think the heart and soul of this is like that he doesn't like that we made fun of him, and so he's suing us. Ethan Klein. It's been a while since we've last spoken. In that time, I've had 3 kids, all boys. I've lost 100 pounds, and I've pissed off 75% of the internet. Probably a lot of you guys too. I started a show a couple of years ago with my acquaintance Hassan Piker, the Leftovers podcast, which we made broadly to goof on the antics of the right. And we went on making the show for about 2 years, and everything was good. Everyone was having fun, the audience was having fun, no problem. That was until this happened. From the river to the sea essentially means the state of Israel is going bye-bye. And over time, I started to learn that my co-host, he really likes terrorists. I started to wonder if I had any idea who this guy actually is.
God, listening to how fucking stupid Ethan Klein is incredible. Bro, you... It's just amazing.
Then I had a terrifying vision. Had I been duped? Was Hassan presenting a Trojan horse to my community, where he was just a left-leaning Democrat like myself, and as he said in the previous video, was funneling them into radicalization and turning them against me?
Liberals are some of the easiest to manipulate people on the fucking planet, dude.
I learned how much he hates liberals.
Dude, I hate liberals, dude. I do. I hate them. I hate them so viciously.
Did he secretly despise me this whole time?
I'm sorry, dude. I hate liberals so much.
Did this man sit next to me for 2 years and pretend to be my friend? What else is someone this sociopathic capable of?
Liberals are some of the easiest to manipulate people on the fucking planet.
Was I being manipulated this whole time?
By the way, can I just pause it for a second here and say, he was saying that the media manipulates liberals. MSNBC manipulates liberals. Establishment media manipulates. He wasn't saying that like he's manipulating them. God, he's so fucking stupid.
Hello, everybody. This is Ethan Klein, host of the H3 Show. All right, so obviously I'm about to have a really uncomfortable conversation about Hassan. And... you know, I wanted to do a really fun episode about Twilight today, but blame it on the anti-Semites. The openness and brazenness with anti-Semitism has left me no choice. I have no choice. But I'm hallucinating, according to Hassan. Well, let's see if I'm hallucinating. The big story breaking right now is that since October 7th, Twitch has blocked the entire country of Israel from making new accounts.
That's not honestly, it's really pathetic that Dan Clancy did not sue him for that lie. Dan Clancy and Twitch should have sued them for that. That is just a factual lie. There were never shutoffs from Israel. That's not true. They forced people to have confirmed cell phone numbers. And in fact, the signups from Israel did not decline at all. They just disabled email-only signups because it's from a war zone.
Secretly, silently, no statement, no explanation, has blocked an entire fucking country. How does that happen? The word Israel is considered a invalid word when you're trying to make an account. User from Israel.
You know what?
But hold on, before you answer.
Yeah.
But why does then both Palestine and Hamas are acceptable? This guy's name is I Love Hamas 123, that word. Yeah, well, apparently that's dope. In Hassan, it's by Hassan, and in his community, I Love Hamas 123 is just another member of his community. I'm
what
being
a
real.
Slanderous fucking loser, dude.
It's just way too many coincidences. Hassan is on the homepage of that website every time I go
Actual
there.
He's the most viewed live streamer live right now.
Yeah, because they keep putting him at the top fucking page every day.
Yeah, but yeah.
And nobody, there's no, what's crazy is there's nobody on the entire platform to call him out. Nobody. They've all been banned. They've all been banned. Nobody. There is not a single dissenting voice with his fucking straight up radical, anti-American, anti-Semitic, fucking pro-China, pro-Russia, pro-terrorism takes. This is fringe, psychotic shit that is not normal. And it is the only acceptable voice on Twitch. Explain that to me. How is there not one dissenting voice on that entire platform?
Snails are kind of doing the thing that people meme about, like docking penises, basically.
I don't know what that means.
Docking, when two guys get together and like one has a circumcised penis and the other one doesn't, and then the non-circumcised penis you like put into the circumcised penis, basically. Like
you could do it with two uncircumcised as well, Hassan. You just roll back the foreskin. Like you roll back your foreskin and then you roll the other guy's foreskin over your penis. So you could dock easily. Like, what do you mean? Like, this is just misinformation.
Unfold the uncircumcised part of the penis, like the tip.
I'm sure some of you know, but I mean, like, this sounds like circumcised guy takes. Like, he doesn't understand what it's like to be uncircumcised. Or it is, or tight foreskin takes.
And then you put the circumcised penis in it like this, like a spaceship docking.
And they just touch? It's not like...
It's kind of like that.
Is that sexual or is that just a joke?
I don't know.
I don't think that it's like that at all.
All that came to my head during that was 127, right? Like that's the score he got, or is it a different score? I forget. That's all I could think. 127. Yeah. I nailed it. Okay. Or is it 128?
Nazi shit! S tier race? Are you fucking kidding me?
No! They were just an egg! They were just an egg! They were just an egg!
And they're trying to run defense. Hassan and all these fucking people are running defense for this shit. I have spent every waking moment on this project.
Except for when you take care of your kids, right?
I don't think Hassan knows what's coming.
Except for when you take care of your kids, right? There is nobody better than Eamon Animations, dude. Like, I cannot glaze Eamon Animations more. Like, this guy is a fucking world. Why is he not in Hollywood? It's crazy to me. We need to make, like, Eamon, you and I need to get together and make a fucking movie, dude. We need to make a fucking movie.
I feel it might be one of the best takedown videos of all time. It's coming together, but I've never been faced with such a daunting task. I find myself overwhelmed with the quantity of footage, and I have tried everything to avoid
7, 6,
launching this nuclear bomb.
4.
But Hassan has continually provoked me and forced my hand.
Are you going to be watching Ethan's content, Nuke? The answer is, of course not.
The title of the show is Hassan and Goons Are Evil, Cowardly Liars. Now, I, once again, am looking to not, to move on past it. Yeah, I'm just going to get into the Hassan stuff. This is the result of Hassan's activism. Hassan Piker, Hassan, propagandist, lying scumbag, terrorist. Hassan's the type of dude who watches himself in the mirror when he has sex. He probably sets up a mirror and jerks off watching himself.
I want to think about that, man.
Think about it. Hassan dropped new merch today, guys. What a dumb, cringy fucking tryhard. Please, can we just all point and make a circle around him and point and laugh? Can we please just fucking point and laugh at him? And why is this? Why do we allow this? This should be illegal. And nobody cares. Somebody please. It's insanely pathetic.
I'm about to hit Celestial, Nate. Where you at?
Celestial?
Yeah.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
That's what it's called, right? The one after Grandmaster?
All right, where were we? I wanted to say Hassan is the human embodiment of the Che Guevara shirt sold at Hot Topic. He is that. Personified.
Were you thinking about that in the bathroom?
Yeah. I would love to open the stream, but I think things are too contentious.
Animation the cops! Animating the cops! Honestly, in my mind, this is nicer than what Ethan Klein is in my mind. Like, I'll be completely honest with you.
The hallucinations start to feel a lot more real.
I feel a jump scare.
Whoa. It's a little catty and weird, considering I feel like our conflict at this point runs so deep.
I feel like, honestly, and I don't mean this in any kind of threatening way or violent way, I feel like Ethan Klein would really benefit from being in the same room as the people he doesn't like. I feel like just him being in the room and being forced to talk the way that he tries to talk through the internet would be tremendously helpful for him. Like, he would, like, I don't know if you guys saw on the street, somebody saw him on Rodeo Drive and with Gila, and they asked him what he thinks about Palestine. And he was so obsequious. He was so cringy. He was crawling on his knees to say free Palestine, to say river from the sea. And I honest to God think that a little bit more just being in the same room with people and just going like, you know what, maybe I don't think this. Maybe I'm not that committed to this position. But I think it's because all the people around him work for him, all the people around him he has power over. He starts getting in these delusions and he gets so out of touch with reality, where I think being in a room with other people who are not being paid to laugh at your jokes might help him like be a little bit more sane.
But I'm gonna pull it up anyway. Fuck it. I'm
out of context would be to talk to me face to face instead of just watching me on a 30-second delay on your stream.
Wait, that's what I'm... Wait. How does he know I'm watching already?
Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Wake up.
Come on, Ethan, wake up.
This is no longer a dream. This is a nightmare. Wake up.
That is not anti-Semitism. The fact of the matter is this conflation is dangerous for Jews. It is a way of weaponizing anti-Semitism that has enabled Donald Trump to do the shit he's doing, that has enabled the slaughter of thousands upon thousands of children and women and men, for that matter. And this type of conflation, Ethan, is what I find far more irresponsible, frankly.
Talking when two guys get together and like one has a circumcised penis.
I love how Ethan Klein is still so pear-shaped. It's like it doesn't matter how many trizepatides or Ozempics. This guy is a pear shape. Accurate animations. That's what we should call Eamon. Accurate animations.
And I hope people bear never forget, as this war rages on, just remember why I'm doing this. Because every one of you motherfuckers that I said I'm coming for, that I hold responsible, guess what? It's only a matter of
I had to check it to make sure there was more time because it's so good. I was like, no, don't end. And we have 5 more minutes left. Fucking amazing. I'm so excited. Let's go. Look at the heel. Accurate animations.
I can't wait for videos crying, Ethan's suing me, Ethan's stalking me, Ethan's all this. Yeah, I'm doing all that. Here's the thing, Anissa and Ian. I just want you to know. I want you guys to know something. Look at me. This is me. I win, you lose. And you will continue to lose. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm not done. I'll never be done. I will never be done with you. That's how much you've betrayed me and how much I want you to know how much you lose and I win. Do you understand, Anissa? And I'm not even talking to iDubbbz anymore. He's insignificant. He's gone. I want you to understand something. I am never gonna be done. When you see this, you know that this one watch, is probably worth more than your entire worldly possessions. And that upsets you because you're jealous, you're bitter, you lost everything, and you look at me, you see me, because me and Ian were in the same place, right? We came from the same place. And look where I am, and look where you are. You, my friend, are a coward, and I am the fucking legend. It responded to it live with zero hesitation. Is illegal ship shit? And by the way, Anissa reached out.
You're suing people for that. You're suing people for doing that. I thought that made you a legend. What happened?
To meet at the Motel 6 tonight. What this guy is. Can we?
Shit! Look at their first credits. Thank you, donors. Ethan Klein.
Hello there. It's been some time, hasn't it? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to see some behind-the-scenes videos and tutorials for just $1 or $2, be sure to check out my Patreon linked below. let me quickly thank my top patrons. S.E. J. Nero, M. Kind Duff, Eagle Senator, Ben Masters, Noam Chomsky, Hunter Fernandez, Dennis, Sebastian Dinatali, Alfred Jericho Young, Tina McGay, Uncle Dave, Soma13, The Irony Giants, Curio, Darth Sunshine, Overa, Dan F. Ferrars, Tom Servo 5, Saddle 88, Jerkwad Jerk Squad, Seth Baker, Milton Friedman, Carl Sagan Deluxe, Listopia, Wargamer, Gustavo Aguiar, Holland Randall, Luke Stein, Kaylee Vision, Scry Gordons, Randolino, Kate.
81 Borka, thank you for the 5 tier 1s. I appreciate you all for gifting. We have, ladies and gentlemen, it is the final day of September. And you know what that means. That means for every 5 gifted subs, you will get an opportunity to roll for bonus subs. You are guaranteed to get an additional free sub, but I have seen as many as, I think, what do we had? 18 bonus subs given, if not more. I think that, I think we had like a 26 bonus subs. So this is the best opportunity ever to support this stream right fucking now. The entire year, the bonus sub period is the best time, because the way Twitch works is they take a percentage of subs, right? They take, 30%, around that, or a little bit less than that if you're a big streamer, right? But right now, so what does that mean? What is 30%? Well, when you get a bonus sub, it basically erases the cut. So when you give money, this is like transferring money to me directly while also providing the community with subs. So they get to see, they get the subs, they get the ad-free viewing, they get access to clips, they get access to site-wide emotes. So now is the single best time to support the stream. You're getting rid of the cut that goes to Twitch. All of it, nearly all of it, goes to the streamer. There is no better time to support the stream than right fucking now. But the one thing is, you have to gift at least 5 subs to get the bonus subs. Just remember that. Anonymous gifter, Dara, Jules Verne, Brute Z, Stop Normalizing Chuds, Open Presents gave 25 and we got 9 bonuses. The Geometer, thank you for the 5. El Greb, thank you for the 5. Stiff Magnifico, Gone Zen, Ori 81 Borka, Condition Bleed, welcome back for the 67th month. Valorant and Fresh Bison, thank you so much. And Everyone's Rancor, thank you for the 500 bits. Remember, chat, the top sub gifter and the top bit donor during a hype train, which is going on right now, they get access to a golden locomotive next to their name that then gives you a permanent purple locomotive. What kind of leftist doesn't like trains? And I will tell you, if I see you as a hype train conductor, that's a get out of jail free card, ladies and gentlemen. That's a get out of jail free card. And most importantly, let's play.
CHB, Brandon Scott, no need for topics.
Make sure you support
Josh Yak. So, this year has been rather insane. The real world events ended up outpacing me beyond what I ever anticipated. As a result, I will be making a big video on Trump, Elon, Epstein, and everything else that happened this year as my next big project. I may make more than just that, but that's the plan. It's been 4 years now since Sam Cedar, Stephen Robbins, and the Majority Report crew, and others, helped me raise funds to get a powerful computer. To this day, I am deeply grateful for your help. It changed my life, and I'll keep going as long as I can. My power has finally been restored, so thank you all.
Chat, we need to get him a new computer. Chat, we need to get him a new computer. I think we should consider doing another fundraising. I mean, there's so many good causes, but Aiming Animations is a truly talented motherfucker.
Well.
If you are not an Eamon Hawk, what are you even doing? And I double goddamn dare you. You must go like, you must go comment, you must go subscribe. Give this man your money. What a fucking king. God, what was your favorite part, chat? God, I just love how it's just quotes. It's just quotes of Ethan. I think when he was screaming about the armpits.
Yeah, and make a on Piker. Hassan, propagandist, lying scumbag, terrorist supporter. Hassan's the type of dude who watches himself in the mirror when he has sex. He probably sets up a mirror and jerks off watching himself.
Why are they so horny for Hassan, dude? Why are they so horny for Hassan? I love how he stands there realizing he can't button away the last 2 years. You know he's down 400,000 subscribers? That's fucking crazy, dude. Chad, what's a good YouTube stat page where you can look at live YouTube streams? Like, what's a good analytics page for live YouTube streams? Do you guys know? Like, I know Sully Gnome works for Twitch. What's a good website for YouTube? Not Social Blade. Social Blade doesn't show you live concurrence. That's what I'm talking about, the live stream side, not the subs and views. Okay, nobody knows. Alpaca Pete, thank you for the 5 tier 1s. I appreciate you. We are at a level 15 hype trade chat. We are at, as far as the sub count, we are dangerously close. We're at 79. This is no cap. 79.69. A mere 41 away. Oh, wait, never mind. It's 76. 79.76 from 8,000. Try this. Okay. Can you actually search? YouTube does not allow that data to be accessed by API, so anything purporting to be a star tracker is just going to be dog shit. Not so. Oh my god, why do people not understand what I'm saying? It's actually kind of tilting me. How could we not understand what I'm trying to say? He's down like so fucking much. Holy. His average concurrence 20k. That's crazy. He was like, last year he was at like 40 or 35. What are you trying to show me? What are you trying to show me? What are you trying to show me? Me? You're trying to show me? Hey, Addy Slim. Thank you, everybody. By the way, I don't think so. Thank you for gifting as well. What did you gift? 20, and you got 6 bonus. Beautiful. Hell yeah. Tautatuva, thank you for the 10. I think my larger point about all this is that they're just fucked. They're rotted. There's no recovering. Ethan Klein. Wow. Okay, what else were we supposed to talk about today? Is the government shutdown happening? Is that tonight?
With just hours until the midnight deadline, Congress barreling toward a government shutdown. Congressional leaders leaving the White House without a deal.
There was a frank and direct discussion with the President of the United States and Republican leaders, but significant and meaningful differences remain.
Democrats refusing to back down, saying they will not vote to fund the government unless Republicans reverse cuts to Medicaid and keep healthcare premiums from rising for some 20 million Americans.
They just wanted to kick the healthcare problem down the road.
Vice President J.D. Vance with this warning.
I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing.
And just hours after that meeting, the president turning to mocking Democratic leadership with an AI-generated video on social media with fabricated and false audio. The video shows an AI version of House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Mike, is this good? Is this good news? Oh, bankruptcy lawyer. Oh, this is the highest it's ever been? Higher than the pandemic's peak? Higher than the crash? Also, one more time, chat. If you are not subscribed to Aim and Animations, I don't even want, if you have a YouTube channel, if you have a YouTube account, I want you to subscribe to Aim and Animations right fucking now. Okay? How dare you not be subscribed? That is the bare fucking minimum. Chat, and also don't forget to subscribe, to donate to the Casey Tron, Denims, and Frogan GoFundMe's as well. If you, I swear to fucking God, if you are not subscribed to Aim and Animations, I'm going to be personally cross with you. We have 20 seconds left on the hype trade, chat, and we have breached 8,000. We have breached 8,000 subscriptions. Now, I have a question for you, chat. Tomorrow is the last. Oh my God, Dr. Brainslug with the last second. My God, 50 gifted subs. Valorant gave 12. Holy shit. Valorant, dangerously close to being #1. They've gifted 125 subs this week. Last week they gifted what? 150? So we're at 275 for Valorant. Dr. Brain Slug, you champion. Okay, chat, listen. When you subscribe to the channel, you create an unbelievable I'm sorry to say this, chat, opportunity to piss off Ethan Klein. And it legitimately makes my fucking day. I want to show you something. Every single time you give me money, you cause these fuckers
Mike from PA
damage.
to me is a full-on grifter. One day I'm gonna do a video on this guy. He is the most pathetic dipshit on all of Twitch. And just to show you how easy this grift is, this guy is like relatively successful, and he is like talented. He is vile, and he is cringe as fuck. What's his average view count?
Probably like a couple K.
Couple K.
Does he really get a couple K?
Nice. And somehow he still succeeded.
You know?
He has 7,000 members or something. Every time I see that number, I'm like, whoa. I'm happy to say that his sub count is getting lower. Yeah, I mean, it's closer to 8,000 before. I mean, every time I look, he has between 7,000 and 8,000 paying members, which is pretty disturbing, but it is what it is.
Like, I gotta be honest, I don't even notice when Ethan Klein talks about me. I legitimately don't notice. Somebody has to tell me.
Mike from PA. 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 Mike from PA.
Mike from PA.
Mike from PA. Mike from PA. Mike from PA.
Mike from PA. Mike from PA.
Mike from PA. Mike from PA.
And again, it is incredible how much we live rent-free in their heads to this day. To this fucking day. They will not stop. It doesn't matter how low their subscribers go. It doesn't matter how low their viewership goes. It doesn't matter how many people yell at them and hate them. They're still obsessed with hating on me, Rogan, Denims, Casey Tron. Why am I an enemy of the H3H3 podcast? Because I yelled at Destiny for mocking Palestinian civilians who were being gunned down in cold blood on camera, and he said they were farming TikTok clips. The same guy that Ethan Klein tried to align with, who now calls him pedo. So he declared me an enemy to curry favor with Destiny. Mike, my coworker who has a side business that aggregates foreclosures for multiple large counties across the country, and this has steadily increased over the past 1.5 years. Like, this guy is actually, and it doesn't stop. AB just the other day, absent backbone, and I'm sorry for even giving him attention because he is like not a successful streamer. Like, you know how they had to acknowledge that I am a successful streamer and I do really well and I have a lot of paid members and all that? Like, you understand how they had to acknowledge that. Unfortunately, that's not true of them. That's not true of AB, absent backbone. Ethan lying. Oh my God, Dr. Brainslug gifted another 50 bomb, and that's another 17 from Valorant, making Valorant the top sub gifter of the week at 143. Thank you, Dr. Brainslug, for dropping another amazing gift. That's incredibly generous. And so recently, AB was like, Mike, I have as many subs as you do. I guess I was making fun of him for having 1% of my viewership because they were attacking the friend of the show who they call Anthony, who they call Millhouse because he has glasses. This is like middle schoolers would come up with better digs than this. Okay, this is like elementary school level intellect for these people. And Absent Backbone was like, they were making fun of him. And I said, why the fuck is AB making fun of Anthony, who's much more successful as an independent creator than he is, when you have one of YouTube's original viral accounts, the H3 account, and you are a regular crew member, you're known by all of those fans, and they get 20,000 live concurrents. It used to be 40,000, but they get 20,000 live concurrents. When you go live, you get 100. And just so you understand how pathetic this is, I went on Hassan's stream when I first started oh God, I don't know why I went to Central College. When I first went on my stream, the very first month, August of 2019, I averaged 234 viewers. My first month of streaming. I went on Hassan's stream one time when he was the same size as I am now. I want you to understand how talentless AB is. I want everyone to be completely clear. And we're going to look at the stats. I'm not going to show it. August of 2019, Hassan averaged 2453. That's smaller than me now. Smaller than me now. And I went on Hassan's stream. You can see the day. It was August 7th. I went on Hassan's stream. that Hassan raided me the next day. This is a Hassan raid. And from that point on, I was a more successful streamer than AB after one appearance on Hassan's stream. One. I want you to understand how pathetic AB is, how talentless he is, how it's never going to get better for him because he just doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have a reason for creating content. There's no reason for you to be there. You have nothing to say. You're not an artist. You're not a commentator. You don't know anything. You're not interesting. You're not a good gamer. You don't have good vibes. You are not fit to be a content creator. Go to dental school. You suck. You ain't shit. And you never will be anything. And I don't say this to be mean. I say this to be brutally honest. I say this to be brutally fucking honest. Do you see that line going down? That's your career. Do you see this line that's going down? That's your career. 47,000 followers? Look at this interesting, like, sudden surge in follows that happened in one day. That's not suspicious at all. Very organic. You know, the way that your stream is flat. Man, it's so weird, you know? It's so weird how your stream was kind of improving. You were getting some follows, and then October 7th happened, and you started being a genocide defender. And then there's these weird spikes of followers that then immediately fall off as they get removed by Twitch's bot collection. And, you know, man, he used to average 250. Now he's averaging 100. Damn, dude. You ain't shit. All right. Thank you guys for the level 19 hype trade. Holy shit. How many subs did we end up getting? Holy fuck. 394 subs and 2,340 bits. Holy shit. We ended at 8,176 subs. Holy fuck. I need to come up with something for tomorrow, chat. Did you see Reebok pulled its logo from the Israeli soccer jersey? The pressure is working. We are fucking winning. All right, let's go back to talking about politics. I think I'm done with AB. AB, I want you to know that when Hassan was a 2,400 viewer Andy and he rated me one time, I was more successful than you from that point on in my career. From that point on in my career, I just want to end this conclusion. Sorry, let me just bring the charts up one more time just so we can conclude this section. Because I know he'll watch. From that point on, I was more successful than you. You see that line going up? You see how the followers, you know, you see how that goes? That goes up and to the right. Good luck, buddy. You need it.
Mocking Democratic leadership with an AI-generated video on social media with fabricated and false audio. The video shows an AI version of House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries wearing a sombrero and a fake mustache with fabricated audio of Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Jeffries writing on X, "Bigotry will get you nowhere. We are not backing down." And this morning, the White House is now threatening to fire not just furlough workers under programs that are, quote, not consistent with the president's priorities. If the government shuts down, as many as 4 million federal employees could go without a paycheck. 2 million troops could be forced to work without pay, leaving military families in limbo. Heather Campbell's husband is a major in the Air Force in Alabama. She worries about making ends meet for their 3 kids.
We're not talking about faceless humans in a faraway office. We're talking about men and women and moms and dads and grandparents and sisters and uncles. And
there's no such thing as faceless humans anywhere, you fucking weirdo. Like, what the fuck is this brain rot?
To show up and they wanted to do a good job and they want to be honest, hardworking Americans, and they're getting caught in the middle of.
We will see if the Democrats have changed. If they cave on this budget, we are fucking cooked.
This political rhetoric.
Republicans say that Democrats should support funding the government without any strings attached. So today in the Senate, they are going to force a vote on a bill that does not include any of the Democratic demands, but they still need the support of at least 7 Senate Democrats in order to get that bill passed. The bottom line here, Robin, someone has to compromise to avert this shutdown, and neither side is backing down.
It does appear that way, Rachel. All right, thanks to you.
And we're just hours away from a potential government shutdown. A spending deal between Democrats and Republicans appears unlikely. Republicans are pushing for a short-term funding fix to keep the government running until.
I think that there's no low that the Democrats won't swoop to.
until November 20th. But Democrats are demanding a new bill that reverses cuts to Medicaid and prevents health insurance premiums from rising. The shutdown could have far-reaching consequences for Americans coast to coast. For more on this, let's bring in our ABC Business reporter Alexis Christoforous. So, Alexis, let's go back in time. The last government shutdown was in December 2018 during the president's first administration. It was also the longest shutdown in U.S. history at 35 days. Back then, what were the economic impacts of the shutdown?
Yeah, Selena, you're right. So the longest shutdown in U.S. history was the most recent. It was a partial shutdown, and according to the Congressional Budget Office, it shaved 0.4% off of economic growth. Prior to that, we had a shutdown in 2013 that lasted 16 days. That was a full shutdown and actually caused economic growth to contract by 0.6%. So, the longevity of a shutdown is really key here, and whether or not it's partial or a full shutdown. Selena.
Yeah, so Alexis, I know a lot depends on timing, and this time's a little bit different with these potential mass firings. But this time around, what kind of economic impact could Americans expect to see?
Right, and that's what everybody's asking. How will it impact me? Well, we're going to run through a few of the ways it may impact you. I want to make very clear, though, that Social Security payments, Medicare and Medicaid payments will continue. So, again, retirees and the disabled who are dependent on Social Security will continue to get paid, and those who are dependent on health benefits from Medicare and Medicaid will get paid. Now, the U.S. Postal Service is actually independently funded, so it would not be impacted by a shutdown. And then, of course, those essential workers, U.S. military, border protection, air traffic control, and airport security workers will be on the job. However, they will be furloughed, meaning they will not be getting paid. They will get paid retroactively once the government reopens. This could mean delays if you're traveling in the not too distant future. At risk here, I want to run down these real quickly. National parks would most likely close, including any federally run museums, including the Smithsonian museums there in Washington, D.C. SNAP and WIC benefits. These are food programs that low-income and disabled folks depend on, also mothers with young children and infants. Those payments would continue, but they would fade the longer a shutdown continues. Also, passport processing will continue, but could experience big delays. You might also see delays in getting a small business loan or an FHA housing loan. And also really important here, Selena, the release of economic reports would be stopped by the U.S. government, meaning the Friday's big jobs report wouldn't be released. The inflation report due out later this month, depending on how long the shutdown lasts, would not be released. That leaves the Federal Reserve sort of flying blind when it comes to what to do with monetary policy and whether or not to cut interest rates at their October meeting. So I think the long and short of it is the longer it lasts, the more disruptive this government shutdown would become.
That is such a good point. And I was actually just speaking to the policy director of WIC, who said they've got about a week of wiggle room. Then after that, some states could start cutting off benefits for those low-income families. So, Alexis, thank you for all of that context.
Who is acknowledging what everyone knows, and that is Republicans have offered up a clean, nonpartisan.
It's not clean because there was no discussion. Every one of these times I went to the Republican leader and said, what do you need? What do you want? And in many cases, we had to significantly change the bill. One of our bills had aid to Ukraine. The Republicans didn't want it. To avoid shutting down the government, we talked to them, negotiated, and took it out. But not once was there any bipartisan discussion or talk on this bill. We wanted to give our Republican colleagues a chance. That's why some of us back in March said, okay, but we saw what happened after that. We saw a decimation of health care in the BBB. So bad right now that 80% of Americans support renewing the tax credits of the ACA. We saw them use rescissions, pocket rescissions, impoundments to undo what was done in the legislative process. So the world has changed, but that one way it's changed, and there are several, and I'll get to those, one way it's changed is there was no discussion. And we asked to have meetings. Hakeem Jeffries and I asked the leader and the speaker to sit down with us as early as July. They didn't. The job of a leader is a bipartisan negotiation. And the appropriators, which you'll say are discussing things. But the two issues we care about, The two issues we care about, extending the ACA credits, broadly popular with the American people, so they don't want to talk about it. They want to change.
Chat, watching, apparently this is a genre of video that's going super viral on Facebook. This is what Trump voters are watching. And the Trump voters are praising the dog. They're like, oh, look at that golden retriever. He saved the baby. I think it's real. This one's good. I'm sorry. This one is good. This one's good. The evil, suicidal, obese lady who's also got an impressive overhead press. Like, damn, like, that looks like a pretty large boulder. That I couldn't lift that. Like, damn, that's crazy. She's strong as fuck. And she's just like, you know what? I've decided to kill everyone on this gigantic glass bridge. Like, I've never seen someone so happy to kill themselves. Also, why is the dog so happy as he plunges to his death? Oh, I love AI, dude. Like, come on, how can you not? Like, this is what we're destroying the planet for and starting the coal-fired power plants again. Wait, what happens with the animation? Hold on. What is this? Like, what? They turn it to like what is that? The baby's in rapids, okay. And the mother's like, get her! And the puppy's like, no, don't worry, I got this. Don't worry, I got this. And the baby, like, this is what your grandparents and parents are watching. And then they go and vote for Republicans.
The subject and ending these rescissions and impoundments, which would undo what we would do. The four appropriators, when they got down and discussed it, they said that should be for the four leaders to discuss. That's what Thune said. That's what Cole said, the Republican head of appropriations in the House. That's what Collins said. That's what Murray said. That's what DeLauro said. They did not discuss it with us at all. So to say the appropriations process is working is wrong. It's not working. It's not working because the leaders wouldn't discuss it with us, as we discussed with Republicans on every single one of these, what should be in the bill and add to the bill.
So the senator from New York, the way that we've done it, and it's a different business model than the one he used, we actually have the Appropriations Committee sit down. And the date that they came up with, November 21st, was agreed upon by the House and Senate appropriators, Republican and Democrat.
Would the Speaker yield? Would the leader yield?
I will. And the Ukraine issue you're talking about wasn't a CR. That was an entirely different issue. So don't throw that into this mix.
It was not.
But
it was
what
not
we were
an
talking
entirely
about,
different
the
issue.
Democrat leader and his colleagues have the same leverage on November the 21st. This is a short-term CR. This is what we do all the time around here, as witnessed by the chart that you're just using there. 24 pages long, funds of government till November the 21st, at which time you have the same leverage then that you have right now, and we have until the end of the year to fix the ACA credit issue. And we're happy, as I said yesterday, and have said on multiple occasions, to sit down with you to do that.
Thank you. Now, reclaiming my time. They did not agree to the bills that the leader is talking about because they said explicitly, Democrat and Republican, there are two issues they can't resolve: impoundments and rescissions and ACA tax credits in health care. And they all agreed, the four of them, that they couldn't agree to a bill until the leaders discussed it with us. We asked the leaders to discuss it with us in July, in the middle of August, at the end of August, in September. They refused. And now he says, give us another 45 days. Well, frankly, the Republicans have had 45 days since March. 145 days, another 45 days, another 45 days. And in the room yesterday, Johnson said he doesn't want to do it at all. He doesn't want to have any compromise. So the time to do it is now. And the idea that we can do it till January, when we talked to the president yesterday, he didn't understand this. but I know that the leader does.
One of the problems with like Democrats in general and liberal politics in America in particular is process fetishization. The idea that we follow all the rules of the process, we follow all the technical rules of even the Constitution or the Senate, and therefore, if you do that, you will get a just outcome. That's not how the world works. And it is exactly why they lose all the time. Is Democrats fetishize process, Republicans have a goal, and then they work the process till they accomplish their goal, which is what every successful left-wing politician in America has done. Whether it was FDR or LBJ or whoever else you want to say, when they accomplish a goal, they set out with a goal, and then they figure out how to work the systems and the things they control in order to achieve the goal. That's why FDR is the best president we had, even with all the horrible shit he did and the failures of the New Deal. The reason why he was able to get so much done. And I think a lot of people, and I'm going to be mean here, I think a lot of people have no idea what the New Deal is. And they've been taught anti-New Deal propaganda, which focuses on the really bad shit that was done in the New Deal because it was America was racist in the 30s, okay? But I don't think people actually understand the scale and the scope of what FDR did. Like, I just don't believe you. If I bring up the New Deal and you start bringing up internment, which happened in the World War II and was not part of the New Deal, okay? That's World War II. That was a unacceptable racist policy in World War II. They didn't intern Japanese citizens in the New Deal. That's a different topic. If you want to talk about how certain aspects of labor that are dominated by black people was excluded from aspects of the New Deal, that is an accurate examination of the flaws of the New Deal. But when you bring up internment, that's not the New Deal. And I don't say this to fetishize FDR. FDR is not my goal. What I want you to do, though, is examine how FDR accomplished and what he did. And if you understood the scale and scope of what he accomplished, then you would understand why people bring it up and talk about it. They didn't get the New Deal by doing Chuck Schumer shit of worshiping process. On the contrary, they stomped all over process. They stomped all over the Supreme Court. They stomped all over all the dumb liberal bullshit.
October 1st, in a day or two, millions of Americans, millions, are going to get notices that their insurance premiums will rise an average of $400 a month, $5,000 a year. A middle-class family can't afford that. We want to renew those credits, among other things in health care, but renew those credits so that people won't pay that horrible increase. You can debate health care all you want, but the overwhelming majority of Americans, Democrat, Independent, and even a good number of Republicans, want us to renew those credits. And the impoundment rescission, I mean, what does the leader think? That we should go along, come to an agreement, and then let them undo it unilaterally as they've done once and now have asked to do it more? No way. That's not how you deal with this, and we never had another president who did it. So I repeat, I love this chart. Democrats negotiated with Republicans. Democrats negotiated with Republicans. Democrats negotiated with Republicans, and on through the whole chart. Didn't happen this time. Leader Thune did not come once to me and say, is this bill acceptable? What do you want in the bill? So they call it clean. We call it extremely partisan. Not one discussion, House or Senate, between the two leaders. That is not how you negotiate. And that is not how you pass appropriation bills.
Okay, so what are you going to do about it, bitch? They slapped you in the face. What are you going to do about it, bitch?
The Appropriations Committee is stalled by their own admission because the leader will not come and talk to us about it. Now, let me make a few other points. Republicans are heading us into a shutdown. We stand at the precipice of a government shutdown because Republicans are not serious about keeping the government open. If you want one glaring instance of that, Speaker Johnson sent his people home. They're home right now, even though the government will conclude at midnight. There's only one conclusion you can draw when the Speaker sends the House home, that he wants a shutdown. He doesn't want to negotiate. All they want to do is force us, try to bully us, and they're not going to succeed, into taking their partisan bill, take it or leave it. That is not how this place works. And that's why we're headed into a shutdown, because Republicans refuse to negotiate a bipartisan bill that deals with the health care needs of the American people, which they care about. Yesterday, Leader Jeffries and I went to the White House to meet with the president and Republican leaders about finding a way out of this impasse. It was a frank and candid discussion. It was long overdue. As I said, we'd asked for it for months. We asked the president to meet with us when Thune and Johnson wouldn't. He said yes. And according to all reports, Johnson and then Leader Thune, who just followed what Johnson wanted, said don't do it, and the president withdrew. So on Friday, I called Leader Thune and said, let's have a meeting, and we did, but it's at the last minute. There's still a chance. It's only the president who can do this. We know he runs the show here. And he's got to say to our Republican colleagues, deal with this ACA issue so that people don't get $400 premium increases. Deal with this impoundment and rescission issue, which when we told him about it yesterday, he seemed not familiar with it, but now he knows. And we can solve this problem. But Johnson won't. Thune won't, and so the president is not going to be able to persuade them unless he tries at the last minute. That's the only hope here. Look, sitting in the room with the president, it was very clear that the president hadn't fully grasped the magnitude of the disaster he's causing when the government shuts down. As health care costs go up, as people lose their health care, rural hospitals are already closing. Speaker Johnson in the room said to me they're not, and I pointed out to him, Tim Kaine just informed us that 3 rural clinics in Virginia, Southwest Virginia, were closing. And the head of those clinics said it's because of the bills the Republicans passed. The so-called BBB, which we know is not beautiful. The American people know it's not beautiful. And so they know, our Republican colleagues know that the American people are fully behind us when it comes to lowering costs, but also when it comes health care and making sure those premiums don't go way up. And then I spoke to Speaker Johnson directly in the room. I told him, because he can't debate health care, because he knows it's not the American people are on the side of wanting these increases, even Republicans, I told him to stop making up stories that too many Republicans are lying through their teeth. They say, oh, the Democrats want undocumented immigrants to get health care, to get the federal dollars of health care.
Disgusting.
That is utter bull, and they know it. The law.
Does he think he sounds badass?
The law prohibits undocumented immigrants from getting payments from Medicare, Medicaid, or the ACA. There's no money, not a penny, of federal dollars that are going there. So why do they bring this up? Because they're afraid to talk about the real issue, which is health care for American citizens, health care for people who need the health care and can't afford these premiums. Let me say it again. Undocumented immigrants cannot receive premium tax credits by law. So they should stop these lies and address the real issue, which of course they're afraid to do. A standard Republican MO is to make something else up because the American people are on our side. Now, this week, here's what House Republicans sent out guidance to their members. They said, quote, not to make the message about health care because Republicans lose that argument. They're right. Their position is callous, malicious, unpopular. So they're not only refusing to talk about health care, but apparently when they do, it's only to spread misinformation, to spread lies. I said this to Speaker Johnson in the Oval Office yesterday. I told him it was total bull, I think that's the word I used, to say that we want undocumented immigrants to get federal benefits, that it can't happen by law, and nothing we've proposed in our bill changes that. He sort of smirked, that's it, because he knows the truth. He knows the truth. And they're lying to the American people, these Republicans who use this, because they know how unpopular their position is. Kaiser Family Foundation poll, 75% of Americans support extending the ACA premium tax credit, including 63% of Republicans. Republicans have chosen the losing side of the health care debate.
I think one of the things you can tell someone is a charlatan with how they use polling. Polling is not very useful for most of the time, right? Like, what you should be using is, okay, what is our electoral strategies to win power? And how is the general sense of the country? What are the vibes of the country? And in a primary, when discussing different policy positions, maybe you could use polling to show that, hey, seems like the vast majority of people like this idea. So adopting this idea is not going to harm us politically, right? You could use it for that as a way of saying, hey, you're saying it's not politically plausible. Here's an evidence that the vast majority of the country is in favor of it or okay with it. So it's not going to be something that knocks people out of supporting the party or supporting electoral work, right? Or maybe even this is so unbelievably popular, this might galvanize people, right? That's what you could use polling for. The idea that you're in the middle of an October debate, late September, early October budget debate, and you're going to poll the general electorate about their opinion of senatorial procedure, and that's going to hold for a year and a half to the next election is the dumbest bullshit I've ever heard. And people do it constantly. I don't know if they actually think this is real or what. The Republicans have figured out the game. The Republicans have figured out that you win elections and then you do whatever the fuck you want and then you try to win the elections again. That is, and you do whatever you can get away with in between. You don't give a shit. Oh, 20% of people want tax cuts on the rich? Tax cuts on the rich anyway. Our donors are going to give us a bunch of money. And then we'll talk about trans fucking sports or some other bullshit. That is the correct way to do politics, not the policies they support, but you get power, you use it to the maximum possible degree, you help your side, you accomplish your objectives, then you try to win the next election and you do it again. That's what you should do. Now, it just so happens that I support policies that are going to help the regular person. They're going to help the vast majority of people, that when they're implemented and understood, people are going to like them. And I think that will result in us being more popular in the future, as long as we properly take credit and we don't fall down some bullshit culture war crap. And we actually act confident and we actually act like we're correct and the other side sucks. That's what I think works in politics.
Because they're trying to take away people's health care. They're going to let people's premiums rise. And this idea that we can do this at January, no. The notices go out October 1st. As to how much increase people will get in 29 states. And they only have a short time, long before January, to decide, are they going to drop their health care because they can't afford it? Are they going to take a lesser plan where they pay more through deductibles and co-payments? Or are they going to keep that plan and cut back on buying a car, going on a vacation, or worse? Republicans have simply put, folks, the Republicans have chosen the losing side of the health care debate. Losing side. And in the White House meeting yesterday, Speaker Johnson made it perfectly clear he didn't care if people's premiums should go up because his conference is against it. And so again, the House isn't even set to come back until October 7th. You tell me which side is actively manufacturing a shutdown. Why did the House do that? Because they wanted to negotiate? I don't think so. They wanted to jam it through, but they're not going to be able to. Yesterday, during a House Republican conference, Representative Lisa McClain made it explicit. She said, don't talk about health care to her Republican colleagues. They don't want to talk about it, so they make these other things up, facts out of thin air. So the Republicans have until midnight tonight to get serious with us about solving this crisis and keep the government open. But right now, they're not even talking to us seriously. They're sort of in la-la land. And then on another issue, related.
They're in la-la land, chat. The Republicans are in la-la land. Now, in my world, the Republicans have the House, the Senate, the White House, and a 6-3 majority of partisan extremists on the Supreme Court. In my world, they're getting everything they fucking want and stuffing it down your throat, and you have a approval rating so fucking low, it would make George W. Bush blush. You're Dick Cheney territory, Chuck.
Yesterday, the president posted an offensive deepfake AI video of Leader Jeffries and me with sombreros, fake music, impersonating my voice through AI, it wasn't me, talking even more lies about health care and immigration. Listen to this, America.
We're not going to
hours away from a shutdown, which we don't want, the American people don't want. The president is busy trolling away on the internet like a 10-year-old. And that's exactly why Americans are going to blame him if the government shuts down. That's another proof point as to who is to blame. His video, Johnson going away, and adjourning the House till next week. We have less than a day to figure this out, and Donald Trump is busy tweeting deep fakes. It's not like he's in touch with reality. He's in a bubble. He doesn't understand that if the government shuts down, people's health care premiums will go up. When we told him about it, Hakeem and I, yesterday, by his body language, he seemed not even to be aware of it, of the ramifications. If the president were smart, he'd move heaven and earth to fix this health care crisis right away, because Americans are going to hold him responsible when they start paying $400, $500, $4,600 more a month on health care. So we have less than a day. If there was ever a moment for Donald Trump and Republicans to get serious about health care, it's now. But even right now, even this morning, even here on the precipice of this crisis, the president would rather troll on...
I have never seen someone who is less capable of making a speech than Chuck Schumer. I think he may be the least talented politician I have ever seen.
...the internet and lie about health care than tell the truth and get to work. So that's why the polls are abundantly clear that Americans will hold Donald Trump and Republicans responsible if the government shuts down. Senate Republicans could stop this crisis now. The president should get on the phone with Leader Thune and the Johnsons and tell them to work with Democrats to fix the crisis before it's too late, and work with Democrats to fix our health care crisis. Let me just say once again, we tried over and over and over again to meet with the Republican leadership. They said no. The appropriators said they couldn't resolve the issues until the leaders met. So we asked the leaders to meet again, and they said no, because they didn't want to negotiate. They wanted it their way or no way. Their way or no way. That's not how the Senate works.
Well, then it's no way.
If Republicans cause a shutdown...
Why is he the leader? Is it Wall Street? Yes. Basically, in the House and Senate, they have these groups called the Senate Democratic Campaign Committee and the House Democratic Campaign Committee. These are organizations that are connected with high-dollar donors, and they intervene in Democratic primaries in favor of more conservative Democrats, typically veterans, CIA agents, corporate lawyers, trust fund babies, independently wealthy right-wing Democrats. And then on top of those people being right-wing and wealthy, the Democratic Party will inject money and then pressure Democratic policy groups, like, for example, unions, to endorse their selected right-wing Democrat. And so they pump millions of dollars into the primaries, and most Democratic primaries, even for the Senate, are battles of name recognition. And so the conservative Democrat, flush with corporate cash from Chuck Schumer, can win a primary, a low turnout primary with low name recognition by flooding the airwaves with ads, with paid ads. Okay. And then those conservative Democrats, if they win power, they come to DC and there is a quid pro quo. Chuck Schumer funded you. Chuck Schumer kept issue groups off your back for being right wing. And you then transactionally vote for him as leader. Now, where is Chuck Schumer getting the money? Well, Chuck Schumer is the senator from New York. He has a lot of relationships with conservative, right-wing billionaires and Wall Street banks. And they fund him into the tunes of tens of millions of dollars, okay, that he hands out to these right-wing Democrats. And so that's why every Democrat in the Senate, with a few exceptions, sucks. Because they're bought and paid for. And in exchange for the money, they vote for Chuck. Who selects Chucks? The donors. They want a bad Democratic leader who's right-wing. Because they don't want the Democrats to win. And if the Democrats do win, they want to make sure that they are as right-wing and moderate and status quo oriented as possible. That is our political system. And Hakeem Jeffries is exactly the same. Hakeem Jeffries is famous for what? Being obsessed with destroying the left. So a country as big and as diverse as America, both leaders are from New York City, and they are famous for their proximity to the big banks, because that's who runs the Democratic Party. It is a controlled opposition, right-wing corporate finance party. And our politicians and our primaries are flooded with corporate cash. AIPAC is another organization that Chuck Schumer is the Israel lobby. Chuck Schumer is their number-one fan. Chuck Schumer is their number-one supporter of the Netanyahu Israel lobby with AIPAC. And that's another group of that's another right-wing group that intervenes in Democratic primaries with floods of cash to stop anybody who has in any way critical of Israel.
They'll probably keep lying and distracting because they know we're on the side of the American Democrats are on the side of the American people. But we will continue to focus on health care. and the American people will be completely on our side.
Now, if there's a video from Innuendo Studios, and it explains what's wrong with liberals in this country and the political way they approach politics, and this should explain it very, very well. I've watched this video 5 times on the stream in the history of it, but I think right here, it's very, very illuminating for why they are so bad at this.
What's wrong with liberals? The modern American Democrat is in an unenviable position. You need 2 things to win an election: votes and funding. And there are a number of things that voters care passionately about and that they have no hope of ever getting from Republicans. But unfortunately for Democrats, they are the exact things big-ticket donors despise, which is why Democrats in very secure districts who tend to run unopposed are the ones most willing to talk about them. The left is, in fact, a very heterogeneous group with a mountain of conflicting interests and decades of infighting. So it's very hard to appeal to all of them and wealthy donors. Republicans don't have this problem, or at least they don't have it as bad. Despite many, in some ways, even more passionate and fundamental differences, conservatives value loyalty and in-group cohesion. And this keeps them coming together every 4 years in a surprisingly unified voting bloc. It also helps that they fucking hate us, and most would sooner vote for a Republican they despise than any kind of Democrat. And lucky for them, the things conservative voters want are much more aligned with corporate interests. So building a coalition on the left is a lot of work. And faced with this challenge, there is a liberal tendency to turn away from policy and focus instead on process. Generally uncontroversial things like bipartisanship, compromise, decorum. And fair enough, the absence of these things in Washington over the years is certainly something everyone left of center is sick of, but they're not things Democrats can make happen all by themselves. And more to the point, none of them are results. They're means. Like, a willingness to compromise is not a position, and when you over-focus on how you should go about things and not what things you should go about, it fosters a certain philosophy about government that is both highly flawed and highly exploitable. The valuing of means at the expense of ends. Most people would say that the ends justify the means is a crap moral philosophy. Democrats would agree, but liberals—
I would not. I would not. I would not. It is not. It's not a crap moral philosophy. It is the only moral philosophy. The ends are the means. It'd be like, oh man, I can't believe you want to kill people to stop fascism. And it's like, well, that's World War II. Killing people sucks. It's usually wrong. But in World War II, we recognized the Nazis need to be killed in order to stop them. We understood that. But the ends, defeat of fascism, justified the means of killing people. Everybody intuitively understands this to be true. Now, it doesn't mean that you can do anything you want as long as you claim your ends are good. You have to use the least destructive means to achieve your objective. That's just called discernment. But I'm sorry, the Civil War was good if that meant the end of chattel slavery. And if we had to kill a lot of Confederates to do so, so much the better. The Civil War was justified.
Often overcorrect to the point where thinking about the ends at all is thought of as, in a vague, reflexive kind of way, innately immoral. There's a very Enlightenment way of thinking that implies that with the right means, the ends take care of themselves, and immoral behavior becomes functionally impossible. I want to stress that claiming political group A adheres to philosophy X is always reductive. Human beings hold many patterns of thought simultaneously and slip between them depending on context. This is less the key to understanding liberals and more one pattern of thinking liberals often slip into. But this idea of the perfect system that can only spit out justice is how liberals tend to think about democracy. We can call this values-neutral governance, and you can see why it would appeal when you're trying to sum all the demands placed on a politician. Under this thinking, you don't need to engage with the needs and desires of your constituency, your donors, or even your opposition. Because if democracy is working, everyone deserving will get what they need as a matter of course. That's what democracy is for, to divine what is right out of a cacophony of different voices. It's okay for people, even people with power, to have bad ideas, because bad ideas will always be outnumbered by good ideas, checks and balances. Hell, you can have bad ideas and it won't make any difference, provided you commit to obeying a just set of rules. Only justice will ever be produced by them. And you can see how utterly paralyzing it can be when half the participants of that system refuse to play by those rules. Values-neutral governance is an engine that only runs by mutual consent. Now, the system is supposed to be self-repairing. If the rules are broken in a way that it doesn't have specific contingencies for, you can write those contingencies. But you'd have to pass them through Congress or the courts. As in, you'd need the cooperation of the people violating the rules. All that's left then is to fix the system without their approval. But that's going outside the rules. That's thinking about ends. And to you, the system is morality itself. You can't go outside it and still behave ethically. If the problem is people breaking the rules, you can't fix that by breaking them further. At this point,
Actually, that's the opposite of reality. This is called tit for tat. If I betray you by breaking the rules, you must do the thing back to me, or else you have conceded to a new status quo where I dominate you. That is the essence of what it means to be an equal citizen, is if somebody fucks you, they must be dealt with back reciprocally. They must be treated reciprocal. If I scratch your back and you don't scratch my back, no more back scratches, motherfucker. And the Democrats keep scratching backs, the Republicans' back, and going, it's my turn, never getting their back scratched, and going, well, I guess it's my turn to scratch yours again. The Republicans are literally selling Democrat back scratches to the highest bidder, and the Democrats never respond. That is basically consent to be enslaved. And that is the system we have. We have a Democratic Party that will not punish Republicans for violating norms. That's why Donald Trump was not sent to prison. He did a fucking coup. And he did get punished for it. So he went and said, I can do whatever the fuck I want. And the weak-ass Democrats ain't going to do shit. But in Brazil, when Bolsonaro did the same shit, he's now in prison for the rest of his life. So every single right-winger in Brazil is like, oh, better not do a coup. They might throw my ass in prison.
Democratic senator usually throws up both hands and says, fuck it then, I'm going to do what the Republicans should be doing. I'm going to follow decorum and look for compromise. I will not be responsible for the degradation of our governmental system. Maybe everything still goes to shit, but nobody could claim that I didn't do my job. And once upon a time, I think they genuinely believed that this was leading by example. But I don't think today they're under any illusions that this will right the vessel, appeal to Republicans' better nature. But Democrats keep doing it, because on some level they genuinely believe that even when it accomplishes nothing, following the rules to the bitter end is the noble thing to do. The captain goes down with the ship. I'm using poetic understatement when I say, this can be very frustrating. To us as citizens, the most important question is what happens next? Republicans break a rule, Democrats take the high road, and what happens next? In practice, the answer is always, they get what they want, but we get a philosophical victory. But when the questions that govern our lives are, will I get shot by police, or will my kid die in an emergency room for lack of funds, unless it's gonna get my kid a philosophical blood transfusion, values-neutral governance isn't useful. And being told to trust in a system that didn't meet our needs so good before it got very obviously broken and our representatives decided it was more honorable not to fix it is, pardon my Anglo-Saxon, a bunch of bullpucky. I'll say one thing for Republicans. They believe in something. It's a bunch of classist, racist, misogynist doolally, but they believe it, and they govern according to those beliefs. There is no contradiction in blocking a liberal judge and bullying Democrats to confirm a conservative one. They want to overturn the right to abortion, and will do whatever it takes to put a pro-lifer on the bench. It is fully consistent behavior. And the problem isn't that they break a bunch of rules along the way, it's that what they're trying to accomplish is wrong. But Democrats focus on the rule breaking and not the intent behind it, because despite what Republicans will tell you, many Democrats are terrified of talking about abortion for fear that taking a stand on a wedge issue will lose them their coalition.
And that's why that's why they lose. That's why they lose, because something that I have learned in my life is that speaking with confidence and pretending you know what you're talking about is more important to most people than actually knowing what you're talking about. I have a perfect example of that. His career is called, the guy's name is Destiny. He's a dumb piece of shit. He doesn't know fuck all, but he acts confidently, and he has ChatGPT in the other window, or Wikipedia in the other window, and as long as he doesn't concede and he keeps posturing like he's never lost, he wins, at least to his audience. And that's what Republicans do. Whereas Democrats are sitting there going, oh, I'm not sure. Abortion is very contentious. And I understand if you think it's wrong. Oh, shucks. No, abortion is totally fine. A woman should be able to have a fetus sucked out of her fucking womb whenever she wants for any reason. It's her fucking body. And if you don't like it, go suck my dick. All right, fuck you. And if you believe that if you don't want to have an abortion, don't have one. No one's making you. But if a woman or a girl needs an abortion, they're gonna be able to get it. That's their fucking decision. It's between them and their doctor. It's none of your fucking business. Now, that would be an adult position. And by the way, we know that position is the popular position because we could see referendums in states like Kansas, in states like Montana, in states like Missouri. These are not blue states. These are conservative Christian states. But when it comes down to it, people are like, listen, maybe people are like, I'm kind of skeeved out by abortion. I kind of think it's a little bit wrong or a little bit questionable. But they want to know that if their daughter is raped, that they have the right to she has the right to control her body. If her daughter makes a mistake, that she has the right to control their body. They intuitively know that. The majority of people know that. And only the most despicable weirdos think that a young girl raped should be forced to have a kid. We're talking about 10% of the country, a fucking fringe minority. But the Democrats are too pussy to go out there and just be confident. That's why they fucking lose. They sit there going, eh. Meanwhile, Trump is saying the most asinine, offensive shit, but at least he says it with his chest.
Believing in a politics where everyone can disagree on everything and democracy sorts it out is wishful thinking born of necessity. It feels like it shouldn't need to be said that this ideal has never existed at any time in history.
All right,
at the very beginning, who got to own land, who got to vote, and who was or wasn't property were enshrined in our government. And none of these things were the democracy machine spitting out justice. They were value judgments made by people convinced that them profiting the most off the system was proof it was behaving rationally. Anyone who thinks democracy is impartial is going to get played. It's also worth noting that this don't worry about your conscience, just trust the system argument is the exact opposite of the don't worry about the system, just trust your conscience argument that liberals use to defend ethical capitalism. Just saying. But on the subject of getting played, we circle back to the alt-right itself, who, as is the trend, do the same as conservatives do, only unfiltered. What would be the effective ways to combat the alt-right? Kick them off social media, shut down their websites, cut off their funding, police their organizations as hate groups, and, if all else fails, be willing to deck someone at a counter-protest if it will prevent greater violence. So, what do they do to us? Falsely report our tweets as hate speech, DDoS our websites, try to shut down our Patreons, report us to the police as terrorists, and beat and murder people in the streets. Now, these are all things they enjoy doing regardless, but they serve a strategic purpose. If we consider doing to them any of what they've done to us, we get the performative self-flagellation. You wouldn't want to stoop to our level now, would you? And when they tell us it would be wrong to kick them off Twitter or stop them from organizing even though they keep killing people, what argument do they give us? They invoke the First Amendment. They defend not their actions, but the process. They don't believe in universal free speech or the right to assemble.
It's important to note, chat, this video was made 6 years ago. And the left called it exactly right. Now that they're in power, what are they doing? Silencing us, banning us, investigating us, doing all the shit. This was 6 years ago, perfectly predicted. They don't believe in free speech. And it was easy to see. And if you didn't see it, you were dumb. If you were tricked into believing that the right wing was something like free speech was a value they held, you got fucking played.
But they know we do. What the right knows and the alt-right has weaponized is that the system liberals imagine has no mechanism for engaging with beliefs. Beliefs are supposed to be things you hold in your heart, and if the system doesn't conform to them, you have to trust its wisdom. If the alt-right breaks the rules, liberals can only request that they be followed. And if the alt-right follows the rules, wears a tie, and talks like an academic, liberals can only trust that these ideas will be voted against. In either case, they don't know how to call a fascist, and they don't have any plan for...
Mike, they do that not because of any moral reasons. It's just that they're paid by the same people as the Republicans. Well, that's what you know when you're a Marxist like us. Like, you understand the system and why it works that way. But I am trying to talk to people that don't have the means of understanding why the Democrats fail, and I am explaining it to them. Trust me, we do this process multiple times a year, okay? We are bringing in people. We are giving them the means to understand why the Democratic Party is failing. We give them the leftist analysis they need to understand the world, and then we give them a program that will counter this shit. And it's a matter, my main goal in life is to give you confidence that dreaming big and being bold is winning shit. That's the winning way. It's not this mealy-mouthed compromise bullshit of Ezra, Klein, and Destiny and Joe Biden. These fucking losers do nothing but lose. We have to stand up to the right, and we've got to fight them for real change that will actually address the problems we have. We have to have a housing program that will actually end homelessness. We actually have to have a healthcare program that will end disparities in healthcare. We actually have to have a food program that will end fucking hunger. We need to actually have an education system that will deliver education for everyone that is high quality. We need to have a foreign policy that will end wars. That is just the beginning, and there's so many more other issues. We know how to solve every one of these problems. It's not that hard. The hard part is convincing you that we can do it. That's the hard part. I've got a fucking panoply of policies that I could go to right now on any major issue, and it will solve it or reduce it by 90%. You name it, we know how to fix it. Literally. At least I do, because I studied the policy and I studied the outcomes, and I've studied comparative politics, and I've seen what works. It's not that hard. It's the political roadblocks. It is the lack of confidence. It is the lack of verve and energy and the lack of incorruptibility among our leaders that puts America in the shithole that it's in.
For fighting fascism other than to just never lose an election. And they're not very good at that. The response to this is usually, but we can't go calling our opponents fascists. What if they did that to us? To which I might first respond, what do you mean, what if? Everything they tell us not to do is part of their core strategy. But also, shouldn't the determination of whether it's wrong to call someone a fascist depend at least a little on whether they actually are one? But that question can't be posed within values-neutral governance. Values-neutral governance wants rules that are correct in every scenario regardless of context. If the left and the right stand across the aisle yelling, "You're the fascist," at each other, it can condemn both or neither, but it can't determine who's the fascist without taking context into account. But in case you're wondering, these guys are the fascists, and they don't vote for Democrats. Everyone can see what the alt-right is doing, but no one knows how to oppose it within the rule set, and they never will. An action has no intrinsic value wholly separate from its outcome. A Kentucky clerk breaking the law by refusing to sign a legal gay marriage license is wrong, and a California clerk breaking the law by signing an illegal gay marriage license is right. There is a moral imperative to disobey rules when following does not lead to justice. Some say rules are what separate us from the animals, but I've always preferred the adage that what separates us from the animals is that we have a conscience. This isn't to say we shouldn't act better than our opposition, but that maybe we shouldn't let the people going low define for us what counts as going high, and to consider that pursuing justice rather than manners may be taking the high road. To my understanding, being a grown-up sometimes means taking a kid's toys away until he can behave himself. It's clear from looking at Republicans that you can govern on your values and be successful. It's just a question of which values you govern on. The rules will not protect us from bad ideas. The only solution to a bad idea is a better idea.
And this is what Democrats are too cowardly to propose. It's not messaging. It's the ideas, stupid. All right, everybody, here is a link to that video. It's a fun one. It's from 6 years ago. So, you know, this Innuendo Studios was probably a lot more hopeful about where the world was going to go. But unfortunately, it went exactly the direction that I told you it would. Unfortunately. All right, the Chinese just gave a speech to the UN. Let's watch it. Chavapatos, thanks for the prime.
Mr. President, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, this year marks the 80th anniversary of the victory of the World Anti-Fascist War. It is also the 80th anniversary of the founding of the United Nations. 80 years ago, fascism was defeated in fearless battles by countless heroic men and women around the world, and the United Nations was created upon their ideal of a world free of war, marking the beginning of an extraordinary journey of building the post-war international order and pursuing peace and development. The past 80 years have been tortuous but purposeful. Today, the UN is the world's most universal, representative, and authoritative intergovernmental organization. With an international system centered around the UN and an international order based on international law, human society has realized overall peace and achieved unprecedented levels of development and prosperity. The past 80 years have witnessed tectonic changes in our world. Straddling 2 centuries, this period saw human society leapfrog from the age of electricity and computers into a digital intelligence era. While the world we live in has changed enormously, the ideal of making it a better place remains unchanged. Looking back, we can draw a number of valuable inspirations. First, peace and development are the strongest aspiration shared by the people of all countries. Having gone through 2 world wars, we must never forget the bitter lessons learned through bloodshed and loss of lives. For 80 years, a generally peaceful international environment has led to remarkable growth in the global economy. Today, as the desire for peace and development grows even stronger around the world, it is incumbent upon our generation to further strengthen the force for peace and development. Second, solidarity and cooperation are the most powerful drivers for human progress. In the ferocious years of the World Anti-Fascist War, countries with different social systems, histories, and cultures rose above their differences, fought side by side, and prevailed together. In the 80 years that followed, they weathered a succession of vicissitudes, such as the Cold War standoff, financial crises, and global pandemics, by staying connected and working together.
You missed the Amen video,
All this
unfortunately.
proves a simple yet powerful point. Solidarity lifts everyone up, while division drags all down. The road ahead might be hard and bumpy, but when all countries unite as one and collaborate in good faith, our strengths will converge into a mighty force with which we can withstand any headwind and cross any hurdle. Fairness and justice are the most important values pursued by the international community. History keeps reminding us that when might dictates right, the world risks division and regression. Should the era of the law of the jungle return, and the weak be left as a prey to the strong, human society would face even more bloodshed and brutality. As members of the global family, we must uphold justice while pursuing our own interests. This is particularly true for the major countries. Only when all countries, big or small, are treated as equals and true multilateralism is practiced, can the rights and interests of all parties be better protected. At present, the world has entered a new period of turbulence and transformation. Unilateralism and Cold War mentality are resurfacing. The international rules and order built over the past 80 years are under serious challenge, and the once effective international system is constantly disrupted. The various problems induced are distressing and worrying. Humanity has once again come to a crossroads. Anyone who cares about the state of affairs in the world would want to ask, why couldn't we humans, having emerged from tribulations, adopt a greater sense of conscience and rationality, and treat each other with kindness and coexist in peace? How could we, in the face of deplorable incidents such as humanitarian disasters, turn a blind eye to atrocities that trample blatantly on fairness and justice and sit on our own hands? How could we, when confronted with unscrupulous acts of hegemonism and bullying, remain silent and submissive for fear of might? And how could we let the ardent passion and dedication of our forefathers in founding the UN simply fade into the pages of history? We Chinese people often say, never forget why you started, and you can accomplish your mission. Arriving at the UN headquarters this time, I saw over 190 national flags lined up in front of the building and fluttering in the breeze. I saw the sculptures, "Let us beat swords into plowshares," non-violence, with their time-tested message ever so loud. And I saw staff members from different regions, of different races, and with different skin colors, working in collaboration for the common goals of humanity. What I saw got me thinking. Those people, objects, and scenes that embody peace, progress, and development are exactly why we choose to commemorate victory. They are also what inspires us to forge ahead, hand in hand. While we may not be able to go back in time and relive the victory, we can definitely create a better future together.
How many subs today? I don't know. I'd have to look. Feels like 500.
As a founding member of the UN, China has all along taken an active part in global affairs and worked for the betterment of humanity. Over the years, President Xi Jinping has put forward the vision of building a community with a shared future for humanity, the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, the Global Civilization Initiative, and the Global Governance Initiative, sharing China's wisdom and solution for navigating global transformations and overcoming pressing challenges. In particular, the Global Governance Initiative, proposed at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Tianjin Summit at the beginning of this month, underscores the principles of adhering to sovereign equality, abiding by international rule of law, practicing multilateralism, advocating the people-centered approach, and focusing on taking real actions. It points the right direction and provides an important pathway for building a more just and equitable global governance system. China is ready to take coordinated and effective actions together with all sides to offer more concrete solutions and promote world peace and development. First, amid the volatility and turbulence in the world, we must work together for peace and shared security. All countries belong to the same global village and rely on each other for security. We should uphold the vision of common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable security, and respect the legitimate security concerns of all countries. We should settle differences and disputes peacefully through dialogue and consultation. Persisting in camp-based confrontation or willful resort to force only drives peace further away. China has all along acted as a staunch defender of world peace and security. China is the second largest contributor to UN peacekeeping budget and the largest provider of peacekeepers among the permanent members of the Security Council. China has been working actively to promote peace talks on hotspot issues such as the Ukraine crisis and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. China will continue to play a constructive role in promoting the political settlement of hotspot issues. Second, amid sluggish global growth, we must reinvigorate cooperation and pursue win-win results. A major cause of the current global economic doldrums is the rise in unilateral and protectionist measures, such as tariff hikes and erection of walls and barriers. We should collaborate more closely to identify and expand convergence of interests, promote universally beneficial and inclusive economic globalization, and help each other succeed by moving forward in the same direction. China has always been a key driver of global common development. Over the years, the Chinese economy has maintained steady development, contributing around 30% to global economic growth. China has consistently opened its door wider to the world. It has lowered its overall tariff level to 7.3% and remained the world's second largest importer for 16 consecutive years. China has also advanced high-quality Belt and Road cooperation with over 150 countries. Currently, China is taking solid steps to promote high-quality development at home, with a focus on expanding domestic demand. China has the confidence and capability to keep its economy on an upward trajectory and continue to provide important support for global economic growth. Amid dynamic interactions among civilizations, we must champion dialogue and mutual enlightenment. Every civilization has its unique value and heritage and deserves acknowledgement and respect. Obsession with so-called civilizational superiority, ideology-based circles, only breeds more division and confrontation. Adopting an inclusive attitude and engaging in exchange and mutual learning is a sure way to build more consensus and collective strength. China has all along engaged in active civilizational exchange and mutual learning. Over the next 5 years, China will carry out 50 development cooperation programs in the field of culture and civilization for fellow developing countries and host 200 thematic training and seminar programs, contributing its part to inter-civilizational dialogue and the progress of civilization. Amid emerging challenges, we must respond with concrete efforts and protect our shared home. Climate change is a major challenge confronting all of us. We should uphold the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities, promote the effective implementation of the Paris Agreement, and enhance international collaboration on the green economy. In recent years, technologies such as artificial intelligence, network communications, and biomanufacturing have advanced rapidly. Along with the benefits, they also bring potential risks. We should adhere to the principles of people-centered development, technology for good, and equitable benefits, improve relevant governance rules at a faster pace, and strengthen global governance cooperation so that technological progress could bring real benefits to humanity in a better way. China has always been a responsible stakeholder in addressing global challenges. Committed to green and low-carbon development, China has established the world's largest and fastest-growing renewable energy system, built the most extensive and complete new energy industrial chain, and announced China's 2035 nationally determined contributions that cover all economic sectors and all greenhouse gases. China has proposed the Global AI Governance Initiative and advocated the establishment of a World AI Cooperation Organization. This time during the 80th session, China will present to the UN the lunar soil samples collected by Chang'e 6 from the far side of the moon. Going forward, China will take more proactive actions and work with all parties to advance global governance in relevant areas. Colleagues, China stands ready to work with all members to uphold the standing and authority of the UN, safeguard the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, support UN reforms to improve its efficiency and capacity to fulfill its mandate, and advocate greater representation and voice of developing countries. China will work with the UN to set up a China-UN Global South-South Development Facility and provided $10 million in budgetary support. China will also partner with the United Nations Development Program to establish a global center for sustainable development in Shanghai to accelerate the implementation of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The tide of history surges forward, and the Great Way remains smooth and steadfast. Going forward, China will continue doing its best to contribute to global peace and development. China hopes to work with the rest of the world to uphold the ideals of the UN, carry forward the spirit of multilateralism, actively implement the 4 major global initiatives, advance toward the lofty goal of building a community with a shared future for humanity, and make our world a more harmonious and beautiful place. Thank you.
I think that was really interesting to contrast the Chinese speech to American and Israeli speeches, because they were unhinged and fucking weird and warlike and denying climate change. China has published a rights report. The U.S. is an accomplice to genocide in Gaza, China said Sunday in its annual report on human rights in the U.S. released by the State Council Information Office. The United States has been serving as an accomplice to the genocide in Gaza. Did I drop? Did I drop completely, or are we still alive? Are we still okay? Did I drop completely, or are we still good? Okay, good. Sorry about that, chat. Was I completely gone? No! Damn it. Okay, we broke a lot of shit. We may have broken some shit. Oh my god, he lost 2K. I mean, that's just what happens, you know. It is what it is. It is what it is. It said the U.S. has repeatedly thwarted international efforts to secure a ceasefire the second year of the genocide in Gaza, saying Washington has exercised its veto power 7 times to block UN Security Council resolutions calling for a ceasefire. Report also criticized excessive use of unilateral sanctions by the U.S., accusing Washington of fueling humanitarian crises and being overwhelmingly the world's biggest user of unilateral sanctions. All right. We thought you were close. Anyway, thank you, chat. Okay, what else did I want to talk about today? We are coming near the end of the... one more video I wanted to show you, which is incredibly funny. Look at how popular the Democrats are.
All right, a live look at Capitol Hill, where a lot and not a lot is happening right now. Time is quickly running out for lawmakers to come to a compromise and do their jobs to avoid a government shutdown, keep the government funded. This morning, there is still no signs of a deal on the horizon. CNN's Harry Enton is running the numbers on this in a specific way, how one party you see in the numbers is facing more pressure than the others, and that's the Democrats. Why?
Why is it that the Democrats, in my mind, are facing more pressure, those Democratic leaders? And that is because their base thinks that their party leaders are weak. Look at this. Democrats on who has strong leaders. Look at this. 54% say neither party, 54% of Democrats say neither party has strong leaders. Among Republicans, 80% of their base thinks Republicans have strong leaders. Yet among Democrats, just 35% of Democrats say their party has strong leaders. When you add together this 54% with this 11%, we're talking about 2/3 of Democrats who say neither party or Republicans have stronger leaders, as compared to just 35% who say their own parties have strong leaders. As I said at the top, weak is how Democrats view their leaders in Washington.
Facing more pressure too, does this suggest, and we'll continue with this, but the question then is, does this suggest that the pressure is for them to cut a deal or to stand against what they think is what Republicans want. That remains kind of the question in and of this. Getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Who gets stuff done?
Yeah, exactly. And this is the other thing. It's not just that Democrats think that their party leaders are weak. They also think they don't get anything done. I mean, take a look here. Okay, Democrats and who get things done. Again, it's just 50. We get this 50% of Democrats say neither party gets anything done. Just 41% of Democrats say their own party gets stuff done. When you add in this 9% of Democrats who say the Republican Party is more likely to get things done with neither party, we're talking about 3 in 5 Democrats who say neither party or Republicans are more likely to get things done than the Democratic Party. And again, that is the complete inverse of how Republicans feel. 77% of Republicans think their own party leaders are likely to get things done, compared to just 41% of Democrats, about half that level, who think their own leaders get things done. Again, Democrats just don't think very highly of their party at this point, and that is why there's so much pressure on those leaders, in my mind, in Washington to actually do something that satisfies their base.
Add all of this up, what does it say about the view of the Democratic Party in general?
Yeah, if you think your party has weak leaders, if you think your party can't get anything done, well, this is, I think, the real pressure facing Democrats at this particular point. Democrats who think their parties need major changes or more, look at this. 57% of Democrats say their party needs major changes or more, compared to just 43% who say minor or no changes. Again, very different than the Republican Party, where 21% of Republicans, only 21%, say their party needs major changes or more. Again, a lot of pressure on Democratic leaders to actually do something their base likes for a change.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you, Kate.
All righty, chat. It looks like I'm sorry for the weird edge of the stream. Sorry about that, chat. Why don't we just call it there? Thank you, everybody, for all the support today. Sorry about the scuffed ass fucking ending and walking away. I appreciate you. Stay safe out there. Solidarity forever, my friends. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Peace out. Here's all my links. Make sure you go, and if you didn't see the Eamon animation video yet, please go and check it out. Thank you, everybody, for all your support. I'll see you all tomorrow.